Well, look at that, huh? We're talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Streamlabs crashes, which is the first time that's ever happened. Ever. Guys, I'm telling you, this fucking live shit, if you're ever thinking, hey, I want to do a live show, don't do it. Don't do it. It will be the bane of your existence. It will be the bane of your existence, doing live shows. It stinks. Let me tell you, it stinks. Vincent says, DP, good luck on Story Wars. Doubt I'll make it there from Jersey on a Wednesday night. You and Rainey are going to crush, though, I'm sure. Thank you, sir. Doing Story Wars this week. Logan says, Epstein was a patsy. Guys, seriously, what in the actual fuck, man? The first time ever that Streamlabs crashes. It's never happened before. And it just so happens I'm talking about Jeffrey Epstein's suicide and Streamlabs crashes. And if you're joining me right now, well, if you're confused, because I'm going to stitch these together for the audio portion of the show, Streamlabs crashed, so I had to restart the show in a new link with half the people. Lovely stuff. Good stuff, guys. I don't blame you. It's definitely not your faults. I don't know what it is, man. I'll make a new super chat goal. We'll just, I don't know. We'll just do 15. Hold on. Sorry. Jesus fucking. Oh, I said that. Fuck, I keep doing it wrong. So oh, let me start this again. Sorry, everybody. Just chat amongst yourselves. I'll be back in one moment, please. Let me just make this goal here, Dealey. That's what happens. You talk about Jeffrey Epstein, and they end you. They end you. Here we go. Okay. All right. We're gonna go to some calls in a second. Before we do, again, sorry about that. I don't know. That's a new one. That is legitimately a new one. I'm not suicidal, everybody. I would just like to make that very clear. I have a lot to live for. I like my life. Not suicidal. Not even a little bit. And we're going to get to some calls in a moment. Before we do, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you're an audio listener, make sure to follow the podcast, leave a review, all that stuff. If we hit the super chat goal, which is only 15 more, there were 2 before, we'll do an extra 30 minutes of open lines. Also, I will give one super chatter a 6-month patreon.com membership. And once we hit 500 patrons, I'll give away $500. Also, there is a new way to support the show. This is a very interesting one, and it is very, Slav says stop using Jew services. What the hell does that even mean? What, YouTube? Where else would I do? We have 88 concurrent viewers right now. There's a new way to support the show. It's free. If you want to do it, you'll be doing me a real solid. Instagram has some weird thing right now. I don't know why. They're only doing it for like 3 weeks, but I have it on my account. So they're giving me money for me to just get people to sign up for Instagram. I don't know why they're doing this. However, I know many of you are like, Instagram's gay, Instagram sucks. I get it, totally get it. However, there's a link below in the description. If you click on that link and go make an Instagram account, Instagram will give me money. So if you don't like Meta, then you are facilitating the transfer of money from them to me, which is a win. Also, if you sign up for a membership, or not a membership, if you sign up for an Instagram account through this link, I will give you a 6-month patreon.com membership, which you'll then be eligible to win the $500. So do me a solid. I think I only have like 2 weeks before they end this. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life. They're giving $100 for every person that just makes an Instagram account. I cannot believe it, but that's what they're telling me. Maybe I'm getting scammed. I don't know. But if you don't have you don't have to use Instagram. Just go sign up through the link, make an account, DM me from that account. I'll give you a patreon.com membership, and you never have to use it ever again. And And if you just want to sign up for a regular Patreon, you can do that too. Patreon.com/low-value-mail, MAIL. This week, I will be back to the Thursday extra shows going forward. And unfortunate news, no bathhouse tomorrow night. The stand has a private event. I'm going to try and figure something out for the bathhouse. I promise. The idea is probably going to be to move it just to do it at the studio we currently have, the Boys Cast studio. The problem is that we're probably moving studios soon. And so I don't want to set up a whole thing for us to just have to move in like a month, which is probably what's happening, maybe like a month or two. So just be patient throughout the next couple months while we figure this out. But I will probably just be abandoning the green room and just going to a studio. I like the green room, but it's just so unreliable. There's constantly things coming up, and it's just not a good system. I know you guys know that. I know that, but so anyways, that's the deal. But no bathhouse tomorrow night. I just found out they have a private event there. It's probably something gay. All right, let's go to the phone lines. We have got my man Chris. No hockey questions, by the way. I will not be taking hockey questions. Toronto Maple Leafs gave it their all. They left it on the ice. They're not just a bunch of pathetic losers. No hockey questions. Chris. Is Chris there? All right, Chris is not there. He might be nodding off. Let's try another caller. We have Jason here. Is nothing going to work tonight? Is this my life? Guys, unmute yourselves. No? All right. I'm starting to think this is maybe me. Is this my doing? I know it's Mark says that the Instagram thing sounds like a scam. It's not a scam. It is a real thing. I don't know why Instagram's doing it. Hello, Jason. Are you there?
Hey, it's Jason.
Jason, what's up? Welcome to Low Value Mail.
Hey, I got to say there was a lot of pressure to unmute myself on command.
I know.
It's with every single call in.
I know. I feel you. I'm just glad you made it through.
Hey, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Nice. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, so in the past, all the time, it just keeps coming up, the topic of aviation and crashes and civilian and military. And I always want to weigh in because I do both. But it's so hard to call in once the show is already started because the queue's full up.
Right. Can you give any insight into exactly what you do? Like, you don't have to say who you work for or nothing like that, but just like what just as a frame of reference of your expertise.
So as a full-time civilian job, I fly cargo planes. So it's mostly at night, like through the middle of the night, but a lot of times it's busy airspace because of where the cargo hubs are.
Okay. Fair enough. Do you have any thoughts on what's going on? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, and then on top of that, I fly helicopters in the Army National Guard.
Oh, cool. So what is going on with all this, like the air traffic controllers? Do you have any kind of input on all this stuff?
I think a lot of it is just being overblown. Like it's just getting more attention than it has in the past.
Interesting. So this has kind of been happening all the time. Like it's not like unheard of for their systems to go down for 30 seconds or whatever, 90 seconds.
Yeah. So, it's gotten now where if a tower controller has a plane go around because there's some sort of possible runway incursion, all of a sudden that's all over social media, where in the past, something like that happens. Obviously it could have been worse, potentially disaster averted, but now everyone knows about it.
Right. So, but these are things but like for their actual entire system to just go dark, like that is actually in the past.
Oh yeah. No, I remember, was it Christmas a few years ago, like Southwest completely shut down. And then like 6 months later, like the entire, like FAA NOTAM system, which is how they get pertinent information out, went down. I think that's an infrastructure problem and a lot of really old software that's still being used.
Right. And how did they just need to totally redo their entire systems? Like, is that the solution?
Yeah. From what I've heard, particularly with the Southwest deal, was that it was like, essentially they're running like operating systems that they purchased in the 90s that, has worked well for them until all of a sudden it didn't.
Right. And then they're kind of like scrambling to replace them all. Cause I had a flight where cause I'm going to Calgary in 2 weeks, and I was like looking at flights, and some of them were out of Newark, and I was just like, I'm not flying to fucking Newark. Staying away from Newark.
Yeah, you know, and you know, the other thing is, you know, I think there are staffing issues. You know, when that Black Hawk had the midair with the regional jet, I think it was the night that it happened. The report I heard was the tower or the ATC staffing was not standard. And as soon as I heard that, I thought that probably means shorthanded, like they had one person doing 3 people's jobs.
Right.
So just less eyes, and then
and they don't have like
just
backups?
like every industry.
Like they don't have, because like you know, like this is a stupid comparison, but last night, and I will be taking no questions on this, but last night during the Toronto Maple Leafs Florida Panthers game 7 of the playoffs, which the Leafs just fought their absolute hardest, and there was not pathetic performance on their part. The referee got cut on his eye. He took a stick to the face and just was bleeding everywhere. They had a new ref just waiting to go. The new ref was on the ice in literally like 90 seconds. Just like that. They don't have that for air traffic controllers. They don't have some guy just waiting.
Yeah. So I've personally never worked in air traffic control, so I have a lot of experience talking to them on the radio. That's kind of where it ends. But I would say probably not.
Yeah.
I
mean, it would be expensive.
I doubt they have the staffing to have. Yeah. You know, they might have enough staffing to where people could take, you know, scheduled breaks throughout their shift. But one of those things where, you know, if someone calls in, now that means there's, you know, it's either nobody gets a break or you're going to be shorthanded while someone's on break.
Right. And I mean, imagine there's a point where you're like too shorthanded, where you're like, all right, this is dangerous now.
Well, this is common, like flying in busy airspace in the middle of the night. They'll have the same person running like the clearance delivery frequency, the ground control frequency, and the tower frequency. So, which is fine. It's not so busy that one person can't handle all that, but he's simulcasting on all 3 frequencies. So I'm starting a takeoff roll and I'm hearing someone get their clearance, or I'm hearing someone get their taxi instructions. And I feel like I shouldn't have to listen to that while I'm pushing the power levers up. Right. That's kind of gotten normal.
Interesting. So do you think they're going to fix it?
I don't think there's an easy solution. I think a lot of it has to do with, it's probably high turnover, just like every other industry right now.
Right. I mean, everybody says it's such a high stress profession, but there's always a sum of money where you can compensate people for endless amount of stress. Like the thing is, when someone says, oh, it's a high stress position, there's a lot of turnover, you go, no, you just don't pay them well, commensurate for the stress that they have to
I'm sure you could definitely make the industry or the career field more attractive, either by paying more or shortening the shifts, you know, hire twice the people and have them work half the shift for the same money.
And now does that just would that make all flights like substantially more expensive, like all commercial flights?
I don't know. Would that be, I honestly don't know, where their pay comes from, that it would make it to the airlines and then the end user.
I'm sure the airlines pay some sort of fee to use the airport. I'm sure it trickles up or down. In some
but
capacity.
Really more of my knowledge and experience is from the cockpit end of it. Right. So I think I heard you, it might have been several weeks ago, but the big news going around was that the female Black Hawk pilot ignored instructions from the male superior.
Yeah.
And I think that was really overblown. From what I heard, he sounded lost too, or not sure. What he said was, I think they want us to go this way, not
go
definitive.
This way. Right.
Right. And in the context of it, he was absolutely in charge of the flight and the instructor giving an evaluation. If he was certain, he would have said to do it. And if she didn't do it, he would have taken the controls. So each station has an equal set of controls. And it's an understood thing that if someone doesn't respond to instructions, that it's an emergency or an immediate flight control transfer.
Right. Which makes sense because you're like, there's a lot at risk.
Yeah. And a lot of criticism on her, I think, unfairly, just because people are like, oh, she was flying 100 feet too high. Well, he was also in charge and evaluating. So,
right.
He should have either corrected.
What do you make about?
So, it's definitely equal blame.
Last question, but what do you make of Endeavor Air, where their whole thing was they're like, we're the all female pilot airline, and they had two different things in pretty short order. There was the plane completely flipped over in Toronto, and then they scraped the wings.
Yeah, I think, obviously that was just that was the way the industry was going, and they were the loudest and most out front on it, and they're kind of a small operator, but the CEO of United made a statement like 3 years ago that said, our goal is to hire as many women of color as possible.
Yeah.
So what they've been saying for years is we're going to prioritize gender and race over experience and qualifications. So
do you see that in your
look for the company?
Yeah. Do you see that in your line of work, like in cargo, or is it just all just like ex-military dudes?
No, it's not all guys, and it's not all ex-military. So I'd say I see it less, and for whatever reason, whether it's just not the industry that attracts that or what, and I work with female pilots. It's not that it's just all male either, but
right.
It's definitely not a let's see if we can we can staff every flight with females. Like it's I think where I work, it's a pretty best person for the job kind of place.
Good. So. That's good. All right, Jason, I gotta let you go.
So one more thing. I'm not gonna ask you about a hockey game.
Yeah.
But I heard you on last week's Boys Cast say the line that I hear people say all the time when they're arguing why do Canadians go play for Florida, and you said to
taxes?
Ryan to not pay taxes, and that's one thing that bugs me because they're still paying federal income tax. So the difference is the state income tax.
Yeah.
So if you compare, like, if you made $1 million salary playing for New York, playing for the Rangers, you would pay like something like 36% federal, and then like another 6.5% state of New York.
Yeah.
So you're still paying that federal to play in Florida. There's just no state tax. So
yeah.
it's
No,
not like all or nothing.
It's not all or nothing, but it's millions of dollars. Like someone was just comparing
6.5% of your annual salary is really what a New York player would pay more.
Right. Well, they were just comparing. I think I saw someone say, because they were talking about Sam Bennett, who he plays for Florida, because a lot of Leafs fans right now want him to go to Toronto next year, and he's a free agent. And they were saying that if he played in Canada, he would make $3 million less. Like, there's a real thing in Canada.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I didn't compare it to Toronto because I don't know Canadian taxes.
Yeah, Canadian taxes. Canadian taxes, like the normal Ontario taxes, are higher than New York City. And New York City has a specific New York City tax, which is like 4%. That's on top of your federal and on top of your state. There's just like a 4% New York City tax. And it's even higher in Ontario. It's really high. But that's the thing, because a lot of the Canadian, I don't know if it's just like COPE or whatever, but they complain where they say, we can't even, like, they want to change the collective bargaining agreement to essentially penalize those low state tax places to kind of balance it out. Because the fact is like, the moment that the NHL started expanding to these like Florida and Texas, like, Tampa has won the Stanley Cup, Florida has won the Stanley Cup. A lot of these places, like, a lot of these players, for one, they're like, yeah, I want to be somewhere warm in the winter, and they all come back to, wherever they're from in Canada during the summertime. But they want to be somewhere warm in the winter, and it's low taxes, and all those teams have, for the most part, done pretty well.
Oh, for sure, it's better. Like, I just, I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, you go to Florida and you don't even have to pay taxes."
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I know you obviously have to pay taxes, and I know that in Florida your property taxes are way higher. But
yeah, they get the money other places.
Yeah, they get the money, but when you're making that kind of money, like, it is substantial.
Oh yeah, for sure. Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Arizona, those are the states.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, I got to let you go, Jason, but thanks for calling.
All right, good talk. Thanks, Danny.
Jason, everybody. All right, let's go to the lines. We got Chris. Chris, are you there?
I know that's Danny Polishchuk.
How's it going? Congrats on having a...
Man, things have been better. I think it's so fucking gay that you're going to tuck tail and not address the most embarrassing Leafs L of all time.
I said I'm not discussing this. Congratulations, Chris, on having a team in the conference finals, Chris.
You just mentioned all the Southern teams that won a cup, and you didn't mention the Dallas Stars winning in 2000 with Mike Modano, but it's okay.
I was actually going to say Dallas, but then I couldn't remember if they had made it or if they had won, but also Nashville made the Stanley Cup like probably 5 years ago.
We've made the Western Conference final 3 years in a row. We made the final against Tampa in the bubble year, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was really hoping for a Leaf Stars finals that I could set up some bet with you.
Oh, that would have been fantastic. I
had my fingers crossed. I was really hoping for it.
The fact is if we somehow won yesterday, we would have got annihilated by Carolina. We're just not good enough.
I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but is the reason for the no hockey talk just like a study on your demographics that says people tune out when you talk about hockey too much or something?
No, I just don't want to talk about it. I just know that you.
I wouldn't want
I just know that I'm going to get shit for it. I'm sure people don't love it, but I don't have a policy. I don't look at my demographics that granularly.
It's just the Leafs can't lose. They can't just lose. They have to lose in the most embarrassing fashion. It's such a Leafs move to force Game 7, sell $25 million in seats, and then that's just.
Oh, I'm well aware. The only difference between this year and previous years is yesterday I go, I know they're going to lose. I had hope. Like, I'm such a Rube where shout out Rube Star. Every other year I was like, they're going to win this. Why not? And this year I go, Florida is so good. I was like, they're not winning this. They're not winning this. Although I did call it. Like Aaron Berg, who's another comedian, he's from Toronto. We were talking about it and I go, like, when the series started, I go, this is going, my only mistake was I said, this is going 7 games. So I don't really care what happens. I'm like, this is going 7 games. And Game 7 will be a 1-goal game, and it'll be like a coin flip. That's where I was wrong, because when you watch them last night, you're like, it's just 2 different caliber teams. Like
I'm just surprised to hear that you and Aaron Berg's conversations discuss something other than world domination.
No. I mean, he's a huge. Although he's kind of soured on the Maple Leafs. He basically was like, I talked to him yesterday. He goes, I'm a Devils fan now because he lives in New Jersey. He goes, it broke him. It broke him.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like. It's such a taboo. Like, it's automatically like you don't throw jerseys and shit on the ice. But today I saw Leafs fans defending that en masse. It's that bad. Anyways, we'll move on. Yeah. I'm withdrawing from fentanyl right now. I want to kill myself. It's so bad. Dude.
That must suck, dude. Is it worse than other opioids?
Dude, you call me heroin, Chris. Okay, so I'm going to be.
I called you just Chris, by the way. I didn't call you heroin, Chris.
I appreciate it. Well, a week ago, I put together the longest stretch of clean time I've had in like 2 years,
Congrats.
Which was like 8 days. And then I relapsed, but it was, do you remember that guy I told you wanted to kill me?
Yeah.
Who went to jail?
I mean, you'll have to be more specific because there's been a number of guys who want to kill you.
He got out. And so my main spot, like, I can't go to because... So I'm just forced out. And so I'm like, fuck, dude, it's already hard to find like clean H enough as it is. So I go to like one of my backup guys. And sure enough, he only has Pant, like everybody else these days.
Yeah.
And I have a rule. And I'm withdrawing from fentanyl. I don't even have the energy to be racist. Okay, so that's not what I'm doing here. I'm just being straight up. But you can't let black people in your car. You just can't do it. It's just I'm just being honest, dude.
In any circumstance, or is this a specific circumstance?
In these circumstances.
Oh, okay. This is not some general rule.
Dude, last night I literally I think I experienced like traumatic events last night that are gonna fuck me up for the rest of my life. So I text my plug. And I say, hey, can I pick up? Sure enough, it's always some bullshit. None of them have cars. None of them have IDs. It's just
these unreliable fentanyl dealers, huh?
For the black ones in particular. and so I hit him up. I say, hey, can I score? And sure enough, I drive down there. And it's always some bullshit. He goes, okay, yeah, I'm here. I pull up to that spot, and I'm like reaching for it through the window. And he's like, no, I got to get in the car. He gets in my driver's seat, bro. He opens my back door. I had no idea. It was dark. Okay, dude, a fucking 6'3" transsexual gets in a black one. Okay, gets in my back seat without me knowing. Little do I know, this guy's also pimping now, and so like he has like. But I thought he'd have better grade of women. Like it was, dude, it freaked me the fuck out. And so sure enough, now like I'm in a situation. This isn't just a normal drug deal.
Yeah.
And he goes,
were you
"Go
like
here."
concerned
He goes,
about
"Go."
your safety?
Dude, I was fucking shaking. Okay. And he goes, "Go to this motel." And I'm dope sick. I just want to score. And I go there and he goes, "Okay, I need you to get me a room." And here's the thing, dude. As much as you want to believe, you can tell these people like, "Hey, I don't want to do that."
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking work. It
Right.
doesn't work. Okay. I've tried it before. You get your ass kicked. It's not good.
Right.
And I'm like, look, dude, I really don't want to do that. I don't want to put my deposit on some shit that I have no involvement in. And he just reaches for his pocket, and that's enough to tell me, okay, all right, here's, let's get it, whatever.
Do you have
So
to
I go
pay
to
for the
front
room,
desk.
or does he pay for it?
They transferred me money. Like I got I lost like $13 or something because of course it was some extra bullshit. But I had to go.
Do you
put
get
my
that
ID
towards a
down
future credit, like a purchase credit in the future?
Dude, this motel it's just a drug. I never want to be there again in my life.
Okay.
And so I go and I get the room for him. Dude, within 30 fucking minutes, there's like 16 people in this room. I'm still just trying to score. I don't even have my dope yet. It's like I'm waiting on my guy. He's, it's always some bullshit. Dude, there's like 16 people in this room, and they fucking break the mirror immediately. Like they're spilling shit. Like drugs are everywhere. The name is like, if this is investigated or whatever, it's like my name's on that fucking room.
Do you think you're going to get your security deposit back?
No. I said this was last night. This is actually 3 nights ago. I'm 3 days dope sick. And sure enough, like I finally get my dope. Dude, this guy is such a retard. I'm like, do you have Narcan? Like, I'm about to do fentanyl. I have a heroin tolerance. I don't want to die. He's like, no, we don't carry that bullshit. Blackest shit ever, dude. And
why don't you carry Narcan? You're the fentanyl user.
Well, I do, but it's in my car, and I was in the motel room, and yeah, and
that's crazy, man.
Anyway,
if you're doing shit where you go, hey, we need another drug for when I potentially overdose, which is a high chance. I mean, I obviously don't understand the pull of being like an opiate user, but that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's just like a normal conversation.
100%. And but he's a retard. He's like, yeah, this is that good. He's like, this is that Trent dope. Like, I haven't read all about it, and Trent, like that's the shit that like it's like animal tranquilizer shit.
Yeah.
It's not good dope. It doesn't bind to your opioid receptors. It's like some bullshit. And he's bragging about it like this is like shitty fent dope, not the China white stuff you're seeking as a dope head or whatever. Anyways, it was a fucking nightmare, dude. I ended up getting my ass kicked because I OD'd in the room, and I'm
even though you fucking paid for the room,
dude. Okay, here's where the nightmare started. When I say
literally no etiquette with these people.
I mean, it was 16 of the scariest black people you've ever seen, bro. like I'm dead, dude.
Why'd they kick your ass?
Because like they said I was making a scene because I OD'd. I don't remember any of it, but he took a fucking video of it and sent it to me. So I have a video of like me OD'd getting like forced out of this room and shit.
So basically you're ODing, and then their thing is we got to kick this guy's ass?
It was afterwards because like I couldn't even stumble out of the room, and they're like, you got to go. Dude, I'm fucking bruised everywhere. Like I have cuts, I have scars. Like I have to go to work with this shit. And I've taken like 4 baths today, dude. I thought heroin withdrawal sucked. This shit is the worst, bro. And I was so excited because I put 8 days together. And I'm going to be honest with you. Like, are you familiar with like the Perplexity AI engine?
I know about it a little, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I've been using like the past year. And I was so like desperate. Like I just reached out to like, I don't, you know, I listen to you guys on Boys Cast and shit, make fun of the people who get addicted to these chatbots. They're obviously retards. Bro, this shit actually helped me.
That's
like,
great. So use it more.
It'd be like,
well, I mean, we made fun of the women who like want to marry them.
No, but dude, I had it talk to me where it's like, you're on day 4, lock in, take a THC gummy, you know, take some more comfort meds like gabapentin, you know, make sure to take some magnesium for the restless legs. Dude, whenever it would tell me like lock in, I'd be like, you're right, I should lock in.
You're right, Perplexity. I should lock in.
Yeah, it actually worked on me. But I just wanted to update you on that.
God damn, man.
I'm so done, dude. Like, I'm so bruised. I'm so scarred. Like, I'm turning fucking 30 soon. And like having that 6'3" tranny in the back of my car was enough for me to be like, I'm never doing this fucking again. And the trank dope fucking sucks. It's not even good like heroin is, dude. And
what happened after day 8 that you were like, you just kind of got that itch?
The song "Where Is My Mind" by Pixies came on, and I used to get high to it all the time, and that was enough to send me to downtown Dallas. Yeah.
All right, no music for you. No more music.
That's it, dude. I've said it a million fucking times. More than ever, I'm so like, I just can't go back to it. It's just, I'm so done with this shit, dude.
Good.
And
stop. Stop it,
dude, all the time, bro. Like, it's just never been more clear to me. Like, here's like, I just don't want to be a fucking loser.
Yes.
You know, and you can't.
You're gonna be a dead loser. You have all these like fucking interactions where you're like, you're getting kind of lucky here, but it's like, you know, this seems to trend in one very predictable direction.
I just don't want to be a fucking loser, dude.
Yeah.
And like, it's just never. Like, I had to drive a family member to the ER like 6 days ago in withdrawal, and it was like a powerful moment where it's just like I've said this a million fucking times. I started using when I was 18. I'm 29, and I've said it a million times. I swear on everything. It's just never been more clear. Like,
look, if Derek Drescher can get off heroin, you can do it, man. Everybody listening right now, we all believe in you. We want this for you.
Well,
as much as I'll be bummed out to not get these crazy stories anymore, I'm fine with it because you're going to die.
Yeah. Yeah. Truthfully,
you're still young.
I used to have like this Pavlovian response where I used to love calling into your show after scoring and like being high. It's something like I really looked forward to on Monday nights.
Yeah.
And, like, I drove halfway to like where my dealers are this evening, but I just stopped at the airport to watch planes land. And like, normally I just like, I physically couldn't do a U-turn. Like, I just could, even if everything in my mind was like, don't cop, it'd be like, I physically couldn't turn around.
Yeah. I get it.
It was easy this time.
Well, that's good. It's a good step. Just use perplexity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. Well, that Bongino tape, I thought was because Cash Patel, their whole thing was the Epstein speculation prior to their admittance into the Trump administration. And like, you got to call balls and strikes. Like, it's so fucking gay for them now to put on this like about face and be like, oh, we've seen the file. There's nothing there. And truthfully, you know, like, I'll be honest, like, dude, I'm so appreciative that you get it. Because go on Twitter and search like just the search term like Epstein list, and it's a million fucking retards talking about some speculative notepad file. You get it because you've talked to Nick Bryant enough to understand like it's deeper. You guys are. But so do you? What do you behind you?
Yeah, but so what do you think with Bongino and Cash Patel? Like, what do you think the answer is? Like, do you think it's that they're like he killed himself?
I think honestly. I think it's a super juicy, like tabloid story regarding whether Epstein killed himself or not. I think it's like priority number 52 in terms of getting to actually what happened. I think more attention should be focused on his financial dealings, which we still know nothing about.
Sure.
Like how he got so rich, who he was working for, whose money he was handling.
Yeah. And as Nick Bryan said, he goes, there's all these people who are like procuring girls who are like in the US, they know where they are. And they're like, you can just prosecute them and they'll fucking rat out everyone who is above them, but they're choosing not to.
His connections with Deutsche Bank, like so much of this stuff is unexplored. And whether he killed himself or not, look, we all got sucked into that story. Honestly, I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. And like the cameras being inoperable that night, like the guards like taking a walk or whatever, like these questions deserve to be answered. And it's kind of gay how Cash Patel and Dan Bongino are just doing this like, oh, there's nothing there thing. After building their whole careers as like podcasters in the Trump sphere who speculate on Epstein. Do you know what I'm saying?
I agree. Unless there's just, it's one of those things where they go, hey, like we saw all this stuff that people don't have info, like do not have access to this information. They're just like, bad news. That's what it is. Or there's something more nefarious going on. I don't know. Anyways, Chris, I got to let you go. I got to take another call before the break here.
Of course, it's been great talking to you, Danny.
Great talking to you. Hey, Chris, don't do fentanyl anymore, please.
I'm totally done. Later.
All right, later. Chris, everybody. All right, we're going to take one more call. And then we're going to go to the break and we'll be back with our guest. Guys, don't do fentanyl. Don't do heroin. Goob.
What's up, Danny?
How's it going, buddy?
So I'm calling about your little Instagram scam.
Yeah, let's hear it. It's really not a scam. I honestly, I know it sounds like a total scam, but it's for whatever reason.
It's not.
Yeah. Because I was like, I asked Ryan and JJ, I go, did you guys get this thing from Instagram? And they're like, no. And then I went online and there's other people who are like, yeah, Instagram. But I don't know. There's no scenario where Instagram is like a new Instagram user is worth $100. Like, that's crazy.
All that data.
I guess. But again, it's
what
like,
I'm calling about
go ahead.
Is the bathhouse, man. How many people need to sign up for Instagram to save the bathhouse?
The bathhouse is saved. Here's the thing. I was planning on doing the bathhouse tomorrow. The bathhouse isn't going anywhere, for at least for now. The problem is that the stand won't let us use their studio, and the green room, like we were supposed to use it tomorrow, and they're like, we have a private event at the club, so they're like, you can't use it. Now, I'm going to move it. I think, like I said off the top, I'm going to probably move it to our Boys Cast studio in our extra space here. But the problem is we're probably moving studios in like a month. So like, I don't want to go do this whole setup in the next month and then we have to move and I got to like potentially change it all again. So for the next like month or so, we're just going to have to be at the mercy of the stand green room. And then once we move, I'll set up a dedicated bathhouse space at the new Boys Cast studio. And that'll just be that. And then we're not going to miss weeks. Cause like the green room has just been too unpredictable. Like, you know, they're like, Tim Dillon's here, can't use it. Private event, can't use it. And I don't even find out until like pretty last minute. So, but anyways, it's not going anywhere, but everybody sign up for Instagram, especially if you don't have one, and click on my link.
I feel like a fool now. I signed up for nothing. The bathhouse is already safe.
I said it last episode. I know it's been like 2 weeks since we had a low value mail, but I said all these people like came up to me at shows and they're like, please don't cancel the bathhouse. And so I was like, all right, we'll keep doing it. So we'll keep doing it. I'm trying to hire
to support the bathhouse.
Yeah, I'm trying to hire a clip guy. So honestly, the money that I get from this, I'm just going to use for like clips and stuff anyways, for Instagram clips. So, and stuff like that to figure it out. But anyways, yeah, the bathhouse is safe. The bathhouse is safe.
Word.
But it might be just in the next like month or two while I'm trying to just figure this whole thing out. I can't guarantee it'll be every week just because, again, it's the stand. But I'm just going to have to move it from the green room. It was a nice run in the green room. It was fun while it lasted, but it just doesn't seem like it works as a permanent solution, unfortunately.
But, yeah. All right. Well, that was all I had to call in about.
Thanks, Goob. Goob, everybody.
Later.
That was the Goob. All right, we're going to go to a break. Apologize if I didn't get to you, but call back when we have our guest. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to read some super chats. Brookings Brown says, Danny, watch 9/11 New Pearl Harbor and you'll understand us better. Who's us? Eric Spencer says, DP got the best call-in show. Positivity, bro. Thank you. Iron Man Metal Bill. Epstein did kill himself. Bill Gates is kind. Joe Biden is capable. Netanyahu is not Polish. My nuts itch. God bless. Love from Philly. Shout out Billy from Philly. Birkin Schimpf says, turn the X stream back on. I can't because I had to make a new stream and it's a whole process to get the multi-streaming set up and I wanted to get it done quickly. C Dump says, hang up on Chris. Never. And Bobo Mikua says, go on Tower Gang, you coward. I said I'd go on. By the way, shout out to Tower Gang Toad, who's getting absolutely railroaded for his lovely cover of Kanye West's new song, which will remain unnamed because I like to keep my YouTube channel. Can I say it? I don't know. But I'm not getting duped like Tower Gang Toad did. That is funny that kind of Kanye was like, I'm doing this song, you can't cancel me, and then Tower Gang Toad covers it and loses his job. That's not funny, but I'm just saying, like, people are like, oh, if Kanye's saying it, you go, you gotta have like $1 billion first, guys. Let's not get too carried away with this stuff. It's a big op. It's a big old op, as they say. All right, I'm just waiting on my guests to sign in. So we're going to go to a quick little break. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming back, joining me. I'm sorry about the little tech snafu off the beginning where Streamlabs 86'd me. Sorry, Sean from Pittsburgh. I apologize. I saw you there. I couldn't get to everybody. But call in. We got a guest coming up. He's going to be here very shortly, although he's not here yet, which I'm not loving, but he should be here momentarily. We're going to go to a break and pray that he is joining us. So sit tight, everybody, and sign up. If you don't have an Instagram account, sign up for the Instagram. It's literally free money for me. And you get a 6-month patreon.com membership. It's win fucking win for everybody right now. All right, be right back. All right. We are back, everybody. Thank you for patiently waiting at the break. We are joined tonight by Ryan Zehm. How's it going, man?
Good. Doing good.
Very excited to have you on here. Mark was speaking very highly of you. And you have a
Thanks for the invite. Love the show. Happy to be here, man.
Yeah, you have a really interesting story. So I guess just tell people who you are.
Well, just a guy from Idaho, but I love conspiracy theories. Love the stuff you've been talking about tonight, Epstein and all that. Man, that's some crazy stuff.
You have any thoughts on that?
Not,
just the thoughts on the fact that Dan Bongino and Kash Patel both came out and they're like, yep, nothing to see here. It's just a suicide.
Yeah, that's the clearest case of not a suicide, So that's pretty crazy topic.
I mean, when Dan Bongino says it, you're like, okay, well, I guess.
Right.
I mean, he would like nothing more than it for it to be not a suicide.
Yeah. But when that stuff was all happening, and there's even ties from, between Epstein back to Pizzagate. And so that, in my view, it substantiates some of the events that were involved with that, because there's direct connections to him in the declassified Hillary emails.
Right.
But yeah, just a guy from Idaho. I love conspiracies, but also have spent a ton of time outdoors, and that of course led me to want to go up north and check for Hyperborea, see where it went.
So that's my first question. So you've been trying to get to the North Pole. Is that your main goal right now?
Yeah.
Get to the North Pole.
I've changed it to attempt a world record, which is the 45th parallel to the North Pole, human powered. So no one's ever done that specific segment, human powered. And
does bicycle count for that?
Yeah, bicycle does, ski, but you got to get there under your own human power versus snowmobilers have gone up there, and Bjorn Ausland has crossed the North Pole on ski, human powered, and so he has the world record for accomplishing that. So a huge idol of mine to be able to pull off a pole crossing.
How often do people go? Because it's not like the South Pole, because I know that's the South Pole is like the flat earther thing where you're not allowed to go there. You're allowed to go to the North Pole.
Yep.
Right.
Well, as far as I know, yeah. There is you're allowed to go to the North Pole.
Whose domain is the North Pole?
It is, I guess, just international waters. The route that I'm taking goes up through Canada and then into basically the Northern Territories, Nunavut. But even Nunavut is a part of Canada, and
yes,
so
for now,
and so up, the last piece of land that I would be leaving is around it's Ward Hunt Island, but that's near Alert, Canada. So basically, Canada until you're 400 miles from the pole. Once you leave the Canadian land, you got 400 miles of sea ice to cross before you get to the North Pole.
And how often do people go to the North Pole? Like, is this an annual thing, or
it's a couple hundred per year?
Okay,
maybe a few hundred per year.
Is it mostly scientists or like?
No, it's mostly maybe there's military personnel up there for sure, and they take submarines and all that underneath of the ice up there. But other than that, it's guided tours, and they have ones where you can do like the last degree, so you can go up and do 89 degrees to 90 degrees north, and various smaller expeditions. So the majority of the people going to the North Pole would be doing something like that, or if some boats sometimes take icebreakers up there.
Right. And so you tried to go, you were not able.
I wasn't, it's a hard topic to research, either historically in books or even on the internet, as far as what exact gear do you need. And it turns out a lot of the gear you basically have to build yourself or have it custom built, because like the skis, for example, they don't make skis with permanently attached skins on them, and you just need, skis where the skins never come off. So you end up essentially gluing those to your ski. So anyways, a lot of the gear you got to figure out what are all these different modifications and whatnot you need to make and it's not documented well. There's no place that tells you everything you got to do. So it's kind of
well, that seems risky, because what happens if you get kind of on your way and then you're like, oh, I need this thing to live?
That's what happened to me. And for me, the two big ones were a bivy bag and a cot. Like, you have to get off of the ground and have a layer of air underneath of you. That I should have known that, but it did. That particular detail slipped. And the bivy bag, a Gore-Tex bivy bag, because in the morning you wake up covered in ice and you need a way to just shake that off, essentially.
Right. So where did you start from? You started from Idaho?
Yep. I started from Idaho near the 45th parallel, essentially out of Boise, and on bike. And
on a bike.
It was my second attempt when I said, let me turn this thing, go for the world record of 45th parallel to the North Pole. And so, then I rode to Canada on my bike. And from there, the plan was to go all the way up to essentially Wollaston Lake is where I would have to ditch the bike and switch over to skis.
Okay. And what do you, like, lock it up there, or you just kind of ditch it for... Or I guess you pick it up on the way. You're not
give it away to someone.
You're not picking it up on the, like, because once you, like, is the plan once you get to the North Pole, how do you get back? Because I assume you don't want to go back by foot.
That particular detail I didn't work out, because I'm going to either have to hire a plane to come pick me up. And at the time, I didn't have funds to hire private aircraft to pick me up at the North Pole. That's obviously quite expensive.
Sure.
But Bajor Ausland crossed the North Pole about 800 miles. And so my intention was, if I actually get that far, which probably not is in my mind, this is kind of a learning experience, and let me shoot for let me shoot for Warthog Island or something, because being on the ocean on floating pieces of ice and then having to set up your tent and go to sleep is seems like a pretty scary task, and I definitely need some experience in that before I dedicate 400 miles of it.
Right.
So
that's the last 400 miles is on floating ice?
Yep. At the North Pole, the land ends at Warthog Island, and from there, you've got to ski across 400 miles of ice to get to the North Pole.
And that's Northwest Territories or Nunavut?
That's Nunavut, yeah.
Okay.
And that's, which is part of Canada.
I'm Canadian. I know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, for the viewers here,
Nunavut,
Canada. Hopefully,
I beat so much Canada stuff. I beat so much Canada stuff into these people. They know all the geography. Nice. No, they don't. But so this whole thing's nuts, to be honest. So you wanted to get up there, and you had some some issues with the RCMP?
Yeah, on my first trip up, which is when I drove.
That's the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Yes, I've had a number of run-ins with them, and I hope I'm still on good terms with Canada. Now I have my passport, so you
didn't have a passport?
No.
How'd you get in? How'd you get into the country? You don't need to admit any.
First time I drove, and the second time I rode my bike. So the second time on my bike, they did arrest me for illegal entry, which is not a crime in Canada. So I didn't commit any crimes. I'm not a criminal. It's
classic Canada.
They just got to turn you around and tell you, go back home.
Do you go through an official border crossing on your bike?
No, I went. No. I was on farm roads.
Gotcha.
And, apparently the road worker guy who gave me his sandwich, it probably wasn't him. They have cameras.
Yeah, they have radar.
But the first time I went, the first time I was on I drove in, no problem. So anyways, when I was up north, so between the stretch between southern Saskatchewan and Wollaston Lake, I had set up a tent and gone to sleep. And sometime in the night, the RCMP showed up at my tent. And I guess what happened was one of the ice road truckers had called in and said, like, there's a frozen corpse out here. You guys need to come pick it up. And so when they showed up, I guess they were shocked that someone was alive in there. And they said that someone had called in basically a dead body. But I said, no, I'm fine. But it was interesting to me that they said they had never seen anybody up there camping like that. And so,
this is in Saskatchewan?
Yeah. Between Southern and Wollaston Lake.
Okay.
So pretty
like
far.
Far up north.
Pretty far up. Yeah.
Are there people living up there?
A few.
But it's mostly like camp, like mining camps and stuff?
Wollaston Lake, Black Lake, it's mostly natives, but then the RCMP aren't native, which I find interesting. But really strange, because in the U.S. you have the different reservations for Native Americans, and there they have their own law, basically. Sure. And so it was just strange in Canada to go up into some of these places where the population was essentially native, and then the two guys standing out who were the RCMP patrolling around. But
we got to keep an eye on them, or they're going to try and get their land back.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. I wish none of it was not a part of Canada. That'd be great if they were still had their own land and their own language and all that stuff. But yeah, so they were called into my tent, and I told them. They kind of searched me, and I was a little worried because that time I didn't go through an official border crossing, so I was worried that they were going to take me back to the border, but there was no trouble. And they told me to turn back because they told me if I kept going, then they'd be up there to pick up my body. It was negative.
Basically, they were like, yours. What was the what?
Negative 30, negative
Celsius?
38 Fahrenheit.
Woo!
It was negative 40, negative 40 Celsius.
Oh, so they become
when you get that low, they're about the same. So, but yeah, it was I think negative 38 Fahrenheit was the lowest temperature I had, and I was having because I was sleeping on the ground without a cot. I was certainly having some hypothermia issues. So it's hard to explain, but my body and brain were starting to fail on me, and so
it seems like that's what would happen, to be honest.
Yeah, I knew I had to get off of the ground because that 40-degree cold comes up through the wool blankets.
And how much colder is it?
Get you.
Like once you get to the North Pole than that?
Here's the crazy thing. At the time, it was colder where I was than at the North Pole. So because I was
northern Saskatchewan's colder than the North Pole.
When I was there, it was negative 40 where I was at in Saskatchewan, and it was negative 20 at the North Pole. So I was like getting through Saskatchewan, like, get me through this area so I can get up to the warmth and the warmth at the North Pole. So, yeah, that's it.
And it's probably really windy and
always colder.
Too.
Yeah, because the wind was. Yeah, it was windy, flat, and
yeah,
that was
some of the worst drives of my life have been through Saskatchewan. Some of those boring drives. So, what is in the North Pole that made you want to go there?
So if we go back through 2,000 years of history, we've always been told that there's 4 islands there called Hyperborea, and historians at different ages throughout history have described the people who live there, and that they're a beautiful, kind, people who aren't at war with anybody, just peaceful. And they even touch on how can there be trees and this green area of land at the North Pole where there should only be ice. And
there are trees in the North Pole?
No, not according to...
Not anymore.
Yeah, but when they talk about Hyperborea, yeah. So I guess when I looked at essentially when was Hyperborea wiped off of the map and we were told that it's not there anymore, And that comes, essentially not until 1972, because Robert Peary wasn't the first one to the pole. I guess if someone wants to believe that, that's fine. But even real official historians say that this is not something that happened. So the next people who would have gotten to the North Pole, you have Amundsen going over there in the air. And then, but on land, as far as getting there on land, it was the snowmobile expedition in 1972 that who were essentially, arguably, the first people to reach the North Pole. And so, we have satellite photography and all that, and there's plenty of people nowadays who go to the North Pole with a expedition. And so, I'm not trying to discount that they didn't go to the North Pole. I'm sure they did. I just want to personally go myself and check, and also verify exactly where I'm at with my sextant, instead of just relying on GPS, because even up there, the Starlink GPS and all that really don't work very well.
Huh. So Hyperborea was like a civilization / like kind of colony. What were the people like?
Well, they're described. Some descriptions say they're huge, like giants. I forget the exact height, but like 14 feet or something like that. There's other descriptions that don't include the giant part, that just say that they're like the most pure kind type of, not at war with anybody.
Nobody to be at war with. There's nobody around.
There's nobody around. So, and then there's also a lot of interesting lands on old maps in that area that have disappeared over the years. Frizzland and a lot of different islands, I guess, that were on maps that once we started exploring up there, they of course took them away and said, well, these aren't there, which is a perfectly logical thing to happen. So, but with the North Pole, there's really not a whole lot of satellite photography, if any, of the North Pole area. If you look at the North Pole on Google Earth, you can't see photos of it. They show you an ocean. And so
any theories as to why?
I don't know. Google Earth, I guess you can just say like they're showing you where there is ocean and land, and up at the North Pole there's sea ice, So, but I would like to be able to see satellite photography of the whole Earth. And it turns out that north of 85 degrees and south of 85 degrees, there is no satellite photography of Earth. There are a few different websites, government data websites, where you can get some snapshots of those areas, but essentially north of 85 degrees and south of 85 degrees, we don't get to see what is on the planet that we live on. And because those areas are incredibly hard to find any images of whatsoever, it's interesting and compelling to me, and I'd like to go check it out for myself. With Antarctica, certainly that's a goal of mine after the North Pole, because again, there's no satellite photography of Antarctica south of 85 degrees. So,
yeah.
And then in the North Pole, they just put water over it, which is not satellite photography. If they took a satellite photo, you'd see the sea ice and all that.
Right. And what are the videos and photos of people who go there? Have you seen because I imagine people would take, is it kind of as expected, or do you go over that stuff?
So here, Richard Byrd, let me start with that. It's going back a little ways because but he was taking video at Antarctica in 1930, 1929, 1930, and later than that, 34 when he went back. But so I have all of Byrd's books, like the Little America and the second expedition where he went down, and I've read all of his books, and his accounts don't match satellite photography, and essentially don't match any of the, like, a lot of the photos that we get from that area. So there's people that go to like the South Pole Station, the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station, take their photos there and all that. But not that many who are crossing the 2,000 miles, 2,200 miles of one side of the continent to the other. And some of the expeditions, like Colin O'Brady's, where he says he crossed Antarctica, he didn't cross Antarctica. If there was no ice in Antarctica today, then he would have crossed from one shore to the other. But that ice extends on for hundreds of miles. But for example, in Richard Byrd's accounts, he talks about these mountain ranges, and he records their longitude and latitude. One of them is like the Edsall Ford Range, and he describes how long it is and how high the mountains are and how majestic they are. And so I'll go to Google Earth under the same longitude and latitude, or anywhere in the area, because Byrd was using a sextant, and there's nothing there but flat ice. And so I know Byrd's readings are correct because all of his other readings line up with the correct geographical areas, like the Bay of Whales. But there's entire mountain ranges. I have a video on my YouTube about this called Mountains Are Disappearing in Antarctica. But Byrd has, for example, recorded a lot of information about Antarctica that absolutely doesn't line up with any satellite photography. And when I go to look, there's nothing there but flat ice. So, but a lot of the photos we would see nowadays are people at the South Pole Station taking selfies or something like that. And that is what you would expect to find, I guess, at the south, 90 degrees south is the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station. So, right. But outside of that station, there's not a whole lot as what we can see of the continent.
So the phone lines are open if anybody has any questions for you. 1-888-949-2969. If you have any questions for Ryan. So what is your theory as to, and I want to ask you about the link to Tartaria here, because I know that there's some sort of tie-in here, but what is your theory as to why, like, where those mountain ranges are? I can't imagine you're going to say it's climate change.
Well, I just say that the satellite photography that we get of Antarctica is a complete joke. First of all, when you go south of 85 degrees, there's nothing. It's just stretched pixels. They just stretch the pixels to the pole. And that's such a massive area of land. It's ludicrous to say that we can't get a satellite photo of some part of that area. But yeah, they just stretch all the pixels right to the 90 degree, which isn't I do computer graphics, and this is not a UV mapping problem. So you can clearly put satellite photography there if they wanted to, and we have satellites that go over that area of Earth, so we should be able to snap pictures of it. So why can't we just upload it to Google Earth like the rest of the world? But so my theory for why Byrd's books don't align with satellite photography is that the satellite photography is just wrong. These are areas that are north of 85 degrees, so essentially between 80 and 85 degrees, or 75 and 85 degrees. So you can see some satellite photography there, but it's not correct if according to what Richard Byrd says is down there.
Right. And what else does he say was down there besides the mountain?
Here's an interesting one. Just before the Roswell incident, he said it's like El Mercurio newspaper from Southern America, but the original source. But Byrd came back with a warning. He was just in Antarctica, and he comes back, does an interview with this newspaper, and he tells them that the United States need to be prepared for the possibility of an invasion of aircraft coming from the polar regions at a high rate of speed. And that quote, that's pretty much a word for word quote. So 3 months later, the Roswell crash happened. And that's one interesting connection to Roswell that I don't think is very common knowledge. But if you look up this warning from Byrd telling that there's going to be a possibility of an invasion from craft coming with it from a high speed, and then boom, 3 months later, the Roswell crash. So I don't know if there's a connection to that or not, but there's a possibility that craft, if there was one, if it wasn't a weather balloon, that it came from Antarctica, that would line up with Byrd's warning. So other than that, Byrd was a Mason, a Freemason. He had the first Masonic lodge in Antarctica, Lodge of the Order of the Penguin. Number 777 was the lodge number. And so we shouldn't expect, if there was anything eccentrically mysterious down there, we shouldn't expect Byrd to be revealing that to the profane, which is the non-Masons. And so no, there's not a lot of crazy revelations from Byrd. One of his interesting books is called Alone, and that is when he decided to go as far south as possible alone, all by himself for months. And that was really interesting, why he wanted to, he wouldn't let anybody go with him, or even when he was about to die, he wouldn't let anybody come save him. He was, anyways, he had something he wanted to do down there alone. And I speculate that he may not have been alone. I'm not sure who he would have been meeting with, but that is a really interesting book. His, alone experience he had out there.
And like, how long of a trip do you plan on this being to go from 45 to 90? Like, how long is it supposed to take roughly?
Well, it's probably take like a year and a half, because I would have to wait at certain places in Nunavut for the snow and ice conditions to be right. For example, when I leave Wollaston Lake, I can't do it in the summer. Because I have to ski through that area, so I need there at least to be some snow and ice on the frozen lakes up there. Lakes got to be frozen. And then the North Pole itself is a tricky one, because supposedly the sea ice up there is getting lower and lower every year, and so it's getting increasingly harder to accomplish this, because you need that sea ice to be frozen in order, to ski it. Otherwise, so when Ausland does this, I have a trouble pronouncing his name, but when Ausland does this, he brings a pack raft with him. And so he's skiing on ice floes and then switches to the raft and, takes the raft to the next ice floe, get out, ski across it, back into the pack raft. And so ideally you're not using that pack raft. So would be certain times where I would essentially be stuck in place waiting for the conditions to be right to move forward. The pole itself is going to be at least 3 months on the ocean. So that's 400 miles from leaving land up to the pole. So that's going to, when Ausland does that, it takes between like 2 to 3 months. So
and how do you bring food for that? I imagine you can get food all the way up to whatever that lake, but
yeah, the last place for food I think was like Joe Haven or something like that, way up there. But so Ausland he got the world record for crossing the North Pole unsupported, and the unsupported part means that he brought everything with him. And
when was this?
I'd have to check the date, 2005 maybe.
Okay, so like somewhere recently.
Yeah, for crossing the North Pole solo unsupported. So he has a sledge and I think a second sledge behind him. So he's towing 2 sledges behind him on ski. Man hauling is what that's called. And so he's got food packs. That's one thing I love to talk to him about is what food are you taking with you. So, but I had built Richard Byrd in his book Discovery outlines the diet that they used when they were man hauling in Antarctica, and so he had a doctor develop that diet. So my daily food pack that I had built, I had rations for 60 days, and I had built that based off of Richard Byrd's daily ration for an Antarctic man haul, which includes pemmican and fat cereal and a whole bunch of stuff that's not very tasty.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, like, if your calculations are wrong, can you just like run out of food? Because you're exerting yourself a lot, so I imagine you actually need quite a bit of food.
Yeah, and I never made it through one of my day packs, one of my food packs in one day, because it was the amounts that Richard Byrd said to consume in a day. I just could not eat that much, and so I had leftovers every day. But if it maybe up at the North Pole when if it's -40 all day long, and maybe eventually I could do it. But yeah, you'd have to have enough food, and last thing you'd want to do is get 300 miles up there and run out of food, and you still have 100 miles to go, and
you're dead.
Yeah, well, you've got the satellite communicate.
You have a way. You have something to. How do you charge it?
Solar is all I had. I would like to have a small little hand crank. There's some bicycle ones with the bicycle pedal, but a small little hand crank electric generator, so that if worst case scenario, I could sit there because there's a lot of clouds, and if there's not, if it's too much clouds, then I can't charge my satellite device. And so with the SOS button. So, but even if you push it, I don't know who's going to come to save you. Hopefully someone from Canada, but
the Mounties.
Yeah.
They'll come. All right, let's take a call here. This is fascinating stuff. We got Rube Star on the line. I'm sure he's got all sorts of questions for you. Hopefully he'll unmute himself. There we go. Rube Star. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Rube. Hey, Rube Star.
Hey, Ryan. I didn't recognize your name when I seen Danny had you on as the guest tonight, so I looked you up, and I seen I was already subscribed to you.
Awesome.
And I was like, what do I know you from? And I was scrolling down, I watched all the St. Germain videos.
Oh, right on. That is my most recent work. Love that topic.
And then, I don't know, did you follow it when he was a magician in the 70s or something? Did you have a video on that, or was it somebody else?
No, that was somebody else. I didn't get into his, some of the later speculations. The Count of Saint Germain. So the Count of Saint Germain was a guy who showed up in France in the mid 1700s, and he was enormously wealthy. He had more wealth. I have one whole video that covers the topic of his wealth, but he had paintings by like Rameau. He had diamonds. Here's one example. He would host parties at castles for kings and queens and give them a little piece of paper on the table for each guest. When they sat down at the table, they had a welcome card to the party. And these cards were decorated with diamonds all around them, and each guest got to keep, So he was handing out diamonds left and right if they were real, and which they were examined by jewelers, and they were real. So that's actually not a guess anymore. But yeah, and nobody knows who he was. They can't figure out which bloodline he belonged to, and along with that, you've got that he is possibly hundreds years old, and looks like he, knows how to defy death. So that's who the Count of Saint Germain is.
Huh.
So, Yeah, I watched those videos, and then I was listening to your story, and I'm wondering, did I watch you when you tried to go to the North Pole before? Were you videotaping it or streaming it?
I was trying to. The first time, well, both
Okay.
times I did. Yeah,
I think I was.
Yep.
I think I watched you do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your support, and it's an embarrassing failure, but
I mean, it's a pretty tall task. I don't know if you should necessarily be embarrassed by failing to get to the North Pole by foot.
I guess, yeah. There's a lot to learn up there in Canada. There's a lot of knowledge that you Canadians have that we don't have down here, and I don't
have it, so
I got to get some.
You're talking about the indigenous people,
But Rubestar, that's thank you for that's cool that you actually found. Go right ahead.
I was curious to know your birthday. I'm an amateur astrologer.
It is right at the beginning of April.
Like April 1st, April 2nd?
April 4/4.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's easy to remember because it's the same number of letters in my first and last name. So,
what year, if you don't mind?
Well, right now I am 42.
Oh God, I got to do the math now.
So we're born the same. You and I were born the same year. No, same year as me.
Oh, right on, man.
1983.
Oh,
and I'm
83.
also same number, 1212.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I met a prostitute in Las Vegas who had the same birthday as me.
That's something I haven't achieved yet, but when I'm in Vegas, I'm going to try. No.
So Rube, what do we got on the 4/4?
Oh, well, that's the week of the star. It's an Aries too. I mean, you sound like so many other different personality types, though, because you're so adventurous and so forth. But he's on the path of enchantment, which means you're supposed to learn how to fall in love with life, basically.
Sounds like he's in love with
life.
Psychic
ability. But I was also curious to know if you ever got into David Wynn Miller.
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
Okay.
What kind of stuff did he get into?
Well, he did the quantum grammar, syntax structure, and pretty much every major like world event, like the falling of the Berlin Wall, was because of the stuff that he did. He figured out that all of our laws are written in incorrect grammar, and you had to use the system that he discovered to write correct laws. So
what's the guy's name? I want to write it down. So
it's David Wynn Miller, but really, technically, you're supposed to say :David -Wynn :Miller. Because then that's how you have to talk when you're doing the quantum grammar syntax structure.
Oh, okay.
And you have to say colon?
Well, when you say it like that, well, it's you have to write everything correctly so that you're not misled by the way someone's talking. But like the reason why Indians have gambling on their reservation, he got Hawaii. I mean, according to him, Hawaii's not part of the United States anymore.
Oh, it's not anymore.
That as according to, this is such a rabbit
hole.
Who
is he though? Like, can I just say Canada's part of Mexico now?
Well, it gets into the laws and stuff like that. I don't know, but
that he made.
Yeah, I don't want to kill the show, but I was just curious if you ever got into him.
Okay.
No, I haven't, but I'm going to check it out because I'm a programmer too. So I love getting the syntax right. And I've even heard stuff about that, about birth certificates and stuff, about why it's all in all caps and stuff like that on the birth certificate. And it's, I don't know all the exact implications, but I've heard some of that stuff before. Maybe not the things that David's getting into.
He was, when Bill Clinton was impeached, he was Bill Clinton's special counsel.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
this isn't some just like kook on the internet.
No, yeah.
It's kook in the White House.
No, he was a judge. He would actually get judges fired with the stuff that he would do. But for Bill Clinton, if you remember, they asked him if he had sex with the girl or something or not, and he goes, "That depends on what your definition of is." I don't know if you remember that. But he got him out like on the.
That's linked to David Miller, probably, huh?
Yeah, from the David Wynn Miller. Yeah.
Interesting. Anything else there, Rube?
All right. Well, no. Good luck with any further adventures.
Rube, any update on the sandwiches or the sauces?
I'm saving that for the bathhouse, Danny.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Rube Star.
Hey, thanks for the call, Rube Star, and for the previous support. Hopefully, I'm up there again soon. This time with a passport, doing it right.
All right, later, Rube Star. So, when's your next plan to go there?
Well, I don't have a date right now because I've got to get the funds put together.
What is it? What does it cost roughly for you to kind of go there?
It's sort of about. It's about 40,000.
40,000, yeah.
So is what I'm going to have to, because I'm also going to need to line up someone to pick me up at the North Pole.
Yeah.
And so that's certainly going to be.
And so what's the Tartaria like tie-in with all of this?
Well, if you look at, so I've done a lot of historical research on Tartarians and Tartaria, and there's different accounts of who they are and where they came from, but overall the collective agreement seems to be historically that they came from the out of Israel, from the 10 tribes of Israel about 700 BC when they got kicked out, and they went northeast across the Euphrates River. That's recorded biblically. That is the direction of Tartaria. So if you go all the way up to Arzareth, which is essentially Siberia across from the United States, across the Bering Strait, that area is called Arzareth, and it says that that's basically where the 10 tribes went and started spreading out from there. And so I've also wanted to speak Inuktitut, the language of the Inuit, so that when I got to Nunavut, I could have a conversation with people. Turns out they probably are all know English better than Inuktitut
probably
at
now,
this point.
Yeah.
So it probably won't help me out much, but it would be awesome to be able to speak to maybe some of the elders and some of the older people. So I've studied that language a lot, and tied to that with the language books are also, when they're studying language, they also have to study where the people came from to figure out why the language morphed and changed in these different ways and what the root language originally was. And so when it comes to the Inuit, I start finding a lot of books talking about how the Inuit came from Tartaria. And this is actually backed up by DNA studies where they've tracked where the Inuit people migrated from. And it all points back to the area of Siberia that would historically be called Arzareth, where the lost 10 tribes went to. And so according to people who have really studied this, and not just myself, that the Inuit people are historically Tartarians, and that they came across the Bering Strait somehow. They're not quite sure. There's a speculation that they island hopped. There's a long chain of islands south of Alaska, south of the Bering Strait. They island hopped from those islands over to America, or that they came across the Bering Strait, as crazy theories as floating over on pieces of ice from Siberia to get here. So yeah, there is certainly a connection between Tartarians and the Inuit. I don't know how many of the indigenous people know about that, but
I would guess not many.
I would guess not. They because we're talking, we don't know how long ago that was. Well,
I mean, in Canada, we're like beat over the head with like indigenous history, and Tartaria definitely does not come up.
Doesn't come up in any of it for sure.
No.
Yeah, and it's going back a long ways to when they were even called the Thule people. And so the Thule people migrating from that area of Tartaria. So, but Genghis Khan was also a Tartarian, and so there's a lot of similarities between, for example, like a Mongol or the Inuit.
Sure. Interesting.
So,
let's take another call here. We got Brent on the line. He's got a question for you. Brent, are you there?
Yeah, brother.
What's up, man?
Hey.
Hey, Brent. Thanks for the call.
Hey. Dude, you are speaking my language. I've been to Siberia and Russia, or Moscow, St. Petersburg, twice in college back in like 97, 98.
That lucky man. I want to, now that after all this, I want to go there and look like these areas of like Arzareth and whatnot. Even Gog and Magog are on the map up there. And I'm like, I'd love to go up to those areas and see what's up there.
It is so funny. It's kind of like a one man's trash is another man's treasure, because my parents are from Russia, and if you ask them about Siberia, they're like, you do not ever want to go there.
Yeah.
That's like all they'll say is like, you do not want to wind up in fucking Siberia, let me tell you.
It would be fun. It would
yeah,
be
if
fun.
you're adventurous, it would be fun for sure. They're not.
But at least up there we get Google Maps, and there's some satellite photography. So
right.
a lot of the different places historically that involve Tartaria, even Genghis Khan, I've wanted to search like, where are these places at? And at least then you can look and try to find.
Yeah, you don't have to walk to the North Pole. You can just sit in your house.
Unable to find a lot of them though. So like Mount Alchai, the mountain that has all the tombs of the Tartarian kings, no idea where that's at. So there's certainly things that you can't find on there. Brent.
Yes.
What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, dude. I went to study the Irkutsk River out of Lake Baikal, the only river that flows out of Lake Baikal. And we were out there, and we spent a few days at a geology field camp out there. And I got to see old graves and an old pyramid structure. And I didn't even know how cool it was at the time. I was like in my early 20s, you know.
Was that in Siberia?
Yeah, Irkutsk.
That's interesting because the one I just mentioned, Mount Alchai, Alchay, is usually how it's spelled on the old maps, and it says it's the place where the Tartarian kings are buried, and it shows on there pyramids. They're more vertical than you would expect like an Egyptian pyramid, but they certainly are pyramids. And I thought, wait, I've never seen a pyramid in Siberia. So that's crazy you mentioned that.
Dude, we went out to one in the middle of nowhere that nobody knows about, and I have a picture of me standing on top of it. I didn't even know how cool it was. I didn't know what I was listening to.
Wow, that is crazy. Well, that had to have been built by Tartarian people. If we look at the map, we go back through history. If it was old, it was built by Tartarians. According to the Book of 4 Esdras, the 10 tribes were the first inhabitants of Tartaria. So essentially, the Tartarians were the first people to live in that area. So if there's some ancient structure there, like a pyramid, it was built by them.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know there were pyramids there.
I don't know how big it was, but the picture looks really cool. I mean, that's from 30 years ago. I was, the late 90s.
And that ties in with like star forts because, we get these star fort type of structures that are built all over the world in the exact same manner. And it seems, same thing with pyramids. You've got the Aztecs and the Mayans building pyramids as well as the Egyptians. But the another one of those interesting mysteries is the star forts, where we get the same exact architecture all over the world, and it looks like Tartarians were the ones who built that stuff.
Yeah,
which Ellis Island even seems to be sitting on one.
Yeah, and they got one in St. Augustine as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
well, that's a very cool story, Brent. Thank you for sharing that. Because man, like I said, I've even seen pyramids on maps and went to look for the pyramid in that area of Siberia, and I can never find anything. So for you to say they're actually out there, that's amazing.
I think they are everywhere if you really start digging down, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's why I want to get out and see some of these places, it's North Pole, of course, included, but some of these places, even anywhere. But Siberia would be an amazing place to be able to go visit and look at this.
A lot more doable if you're not going by foot.
Yeah, right. We might have to scratch that one off, definitely, for Siberia.
Yeah. Cool. Brent, anything else, man?
No, dude. Love your show.
Thanks, Brent. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for the call, Brent. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Brent, everybody. Let's take another call from, we got Drew on the line. Let's see. Drew, you there?
Hello.
Yo.
Hey, Drew.
What's up, Dave? Is the audio good?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, man. First question, because I have this written down. I was listening. I heard about you were talking about Inuit.
Inuit.
So how does Connor feel around black people?
My dog, Connor?
Yeah, is he well behaved?
Yeah, he's quite well behaved. If it's nighttime, he barks at them, but I think it's just because he doesn't see in color and they just look darker and shadowy. But that was my other dog did that too. I think that's just a dog thing. Dogs are just racist at night.
Or colorblind, you might say.
Exactly.
All right. So also, how is Connor dog? Have you been washing his legs?
You know
Probably
what?
not.
I have, funny enough, I have been because he needs a grooming, which he's having. This is my dog, by the way, Ryan. But he had a surgery recently, but he needs a grooming and he hasn't. It's coming up. He has one in a few days. But so I took him out for a walk today, and he's been having a problem with getting shit stuck to his ass. So then now I every other day right now, I take him for a walk and then I have to put him in the tub and fucking hose him down. So he's got clean legs.
Dave, could you imagine living your life just walking throughout your day, trying to take a shit, and then there's just shit stuck on the back of your hair at your ass?
No, I could not. I feel bad for the guy. I actually cut his asshole hair today because I was like, let's see if we can figure this out temporarily.
I thought about
what
that.
What would they do in the wild?
Well, I think about that all the time. I go, how does if he doesn't have if a dog in the wild, I guess dogs like that are never in the wild, Yorkie poo.
Well, they eat each other's shit.
I guess, but also in the wild, I guess maybe they don't have the hypoallergenic style hair because that's not really beneficial in the wild. They would have fur and then you shed fur, but he doesn't shed. So you're he wouldn't his hair would just be all matted and he wouldn't be able to walk around eventually. And by eventually I'm 2 months.
They probably wouldn't survive because a predator would be able to track them straight down by the smell.
He would have no chance of survival. No.
But maybe he can pull a sled,
No, he's 13 pounds. He's fucking useless.
Seen a lot of amazing dogs up there pulling sleds and with
13-pound dogs.
Also, well, maybe not them. But hey, they could ride along inside the coat.
Yeah, he could be in the coat. He's a bag dog.
I did have something for the guest. What was the guest name again?
Ryan
Zehm.
Ryan Zehm. So you keep saying Genghis Khan. His name is Temujin. Is actually Genghis Khan is a title.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Awarded to the Khan. His name, the original Khan, was Temujin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Awarded to other gens through. I just had to bring that up just to bring glory to his name. I mean, he is a great guy. I mean,
hey, I love the history of Genghis Khan, and if anyone listening likes some good historical conspiracies, you can check out my YouTube channel because I got a series on Genghis Khan, which ties into the Book of Revelation and end times and Tartarians. So, and in there's some definitely parallels between Genghis Khan and the opening of the first scroll. So the rider on the white horse, as well as some very strange coincidences between Genghis Khan and Jesus. But anyways, that's some stuff that's covered on my YouTube channel.
We'll put
the Tartarian Christian.
So have you heard that it might actually be just misread as white horse originally, and it was just like really chill and cool, and a bunch of white horse came down?
What do you mean, in Revelation or the account about Genghis Khan?
Yeah, it was horse. It wasn't horses.
Oh, it was
horse.
horse.
White horse. It was just like hot white chicks. It was like fucking chill.
Oh yeah, that's
Cool,
I've heard about this in I think maybe it was Islam and something about some number of.
No, they weren't virgins, dude.
Virgins. No, not virgins.
These were pros.
I see.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's Christianity, brother. We don't want those virgins.
But also on the topic of Epstein, it looks like he had acts probably, ones that were maybe not riders on the white horse, but anyways, the virgin come into play down there on the island too. So with the age that they were messing with,
probably
at least he's
probably
dead.
Unfortunately, yeah. Anything else there, Drew?
No, I'm pretty good, doggy.
Thanks, man.
No more Connor updates until next week.
Connor's doing great. You'll be happy to learn. Thanks, buddy. Drew, everybody. I keep saying Logan says, Danny, you need to squeeze his anus. No cap. He doesn't need his anal glands expressed. He had that done recently. I know everybody keeps saying express his anal glands. First off, I'm never doing that by myself. But he doesn't require that. He just keeps getting shit stuck to his fur. I think it's just a normal dog thing. All right, let's go to another call here. Yeah, we go from topic to topic on this show. We're all over the place.
Cows and dogs.
Cows and dogs.
All the time.
Yeah. Todd!
Hey, how's it going, fellas?
What's up, man? You're on the show.
Dude, I had another topic, but anal glands, my sister's dog has the fattest asshole. I keep telling her to squeeze it out, but she refuses.
Well, I mean, you have to do it because they get uncomfortable. It has to be done. But I'm like, the guy who grooms my dog does that too. It's a little add-on.
Yeah, exactly.
A little add-on service, which I am more than happy to pay for. All I remember is JJ Lieberman. People know, but he's a comedian. But he has 2 dogs. And
I love JJ.
Yeah, he had 2 old dogs, and they needed and I think he tried to do it himself, and he just like gave up immediately, and he's just like, fuck it. It's dirty work.
Hey man, I've been really enjoying the show and stuff like that. I was just kind of going to give a couple camping tips and stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, I get like a rubber water bottle and piss in it, and then sleep with it because it's going to be warm. I mean, why are you going to waste the warmth and shit like that?
Oh, that's a good point.
Though, get something hygienic and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Though, like when I go surfing, you pee in a wetsuit. No one talks about it, but like everyone's pissing in their wetsuit. It's so cold outside, it's just like it keeps it inside there.
And -4, there were some nights it's like I said, -38. It felt like I was risking my life if I got up to leave the tent to take a piss. Like there's no way I'm getting out of this tent.
Yeah. Todd, what happens if the piss bottle freezes overnight
and then
now your bottle is just full of frozen piss?
It's frozen solid. That's what happens.
I mean, maybe like when you start getting a little cold, then go dump it out and stuff like that. You know,
or you have an ice pick?
A little proactive. It'll give you warmth for a couple hours, hopefully, and shit.
here's what I did. I put it in my coat to try to get it to thaw out. And
so you did do this, or you
yeah,
would do this?
There's a problem I had to deal with. When you wake up in the morning.
Oh, you already did this.
Yep, I was up north, and there's no way I'm leaving my tent. And so what I used was a 48-ounce Nalgene canteen because it has the nice, big wide opening and all that.
Oh, bragger!
You get the 48-ounce Nalgene canteen.
Can't possibly fit in a regular one.
You have to scoop up snow, boil it on your MSR stove, and pour it into your Nalgene canteen, and swish it around until you can. Anyways, it's a waste of time because I got to sit there and boil water, and it takes forever when it's -40 to boil. By the way,
and then you got to drink out of that. And then you got to drink out of that.
No, you got two separate ones, and on one of them
separate ones, Danny.
You put a duct tape strip on it.
Hey man, I watched that Outdoor Boys channel.
When it's dark and you got to reach for your water bottle, you grab the one where you can feel the duct tape strip on it. So
right. Yeah. Well, I see the Outdoor Boys. I know he retired or whatever, but he does some wild ass shit.
Yeah, that guy does some awesome stuff.
Yeah, he just retired, so you might be able to sneak in there and
swoop in.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to fucking North
Pole. That's all I wanted to say. Dog squeezing asshole and fucking pissing the water bottle.
Appreciate
it. Here, keep up the show. I like it. You guys are killing it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Todd. Cheers.
All right.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't even come. I've never been. I've camped a bit, nothing crazy, but I'm like, that's just like, I've done like, 3-day camping trips in like Northern Ontario. And I go, that's like in the summer. I go, that's my max. Is there like animals? Like, is there some point where you're like polar bear might kill you?
Yep. So when I was near Wollaston Lake, I met they're not Inuit, they're Dene, but a Dene man came by and he was talking to me because I was pulling a sled, and he said that a couple years ago a 70-year-old man came through here pulling a sled doing the same thing. And I was like, what, a 70-year-old man? And so that gives me hope that this is something that you can do for quite a while yet. But anyways, he was skiing from Wollaston Lake, Saskatchewan, to Baker Lake, Nunavut. And so he had been followed, I guess, by a grizzly bear for like 4 days. And finally he pushed the SOS button on his device because like after being followed for 4 days, he finally called for help. But I was like, man, why'd you wait for 4 days? When I was up there, I heard some wolf, but then I was following the Ice Road 905, and a game warden guy was up there, stopped by to talk to me. And I asked him about the wolf, and I said, hey, do I need to be worried about the wolf? Because in Idaho, you do. And he just laughed. He was like, no, they're skittish. He basically mounted them to coyote, more what I would consider to be coyote, where I'm not, if I see one, I'm not worried about it because they're too skittish. Right. So I don't think the wolf up there are really a problem. The only thing that would be a problem, probably not any caribou or anything like that, but you do have grizzly bear and then polar. And in between, what the local people told me was also watch out for the hybrids where the grizzlies are mating with the polar bears.
What? I've never even heard of that. That's a thing.
Yeah. Yep. I hadn't heard about it either till I was up there, but they said like, watch out if you.
I know moose are bastards.
Yeah. Moose is the other one that the caribou aren't going to mess with you, but the moose could be.
Moose will fuck you up.
Mm-hmm. Those
and they can swim and shit really fast. I know that's not a problem in the winter, but they can swim. Man. They will fuck you up. Okay, let's.
They call them growlers or pole. Well, anyways, they got a couple weird names for those hybrid bears. Yeah. But I was in the area of grizzlies. I never seen any bear. I've seen a lot of bear in Idaho.
Yeah, Wollaston Lakes. That's almost at the top of
Saskatchewan. Yeah, there's a couple little towns further up.
I mean, it's cool if you're going up there for a purpose, but if you wind up there under any other circumstances, you fucked up.
That is, yeah, for me, that's probably the weirdest place I've been.
Although
on
I've done
Earth.
comedy
It
in
was
Fort McMurray, and Fort McMurray is about the same,
way up there.
same level essentially. All right, let's take another call here. I don't know what this is going to be, but he says his name is Pants. Pants.
He says his name is Pants.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, so hold on just a moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't claim to have any esoteric knowledge about the Tartarians or and I literally have Jewish friends. I'm not against anybody. It's one of those things where like I'm just kind of a dude that exists.
Okay.
And
Aren't we all?
I want to try to figure out something for all the other dudes that just exist who think they aren't, valid in this world.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So I am I'm a 27-year-old burnout. I'm I was a heroin addict by 19 and got sober around 20 years old. And these days I just live in a small town and I just run a coffee shop.
Okay. That doesn't sound like a burnout if you run a coffee shop.
Well, I mean, it's a family business. It's, I've got some familial help with
How'd you kick heroin? I only say that because Chris called in earlier, a regular Chris, and he started heroin when he was 19 or same age, 19, but he's 29 now, almost 30, and he still can't get off of it. Any tips? If he's watching now?
Kicking heroin was as easy as substituting it with other opioids.
Well, that doesn't seem like you kicked it then.
Oh wait. Yeah, no, I mean I haven't kicked opioids, but I've kicked heroin. There's nothing that's going to kill me at this point.
Gotcha.
So in the US, kratom is legal.
Yeah, we had mentioned kratom to Chris. I don't know why he tried some super kratom or something. There's some sort of kratom that's like it's like a super.
There's
kratom.
7-hydroxymetragenine.
Yeah,
which
maybe that's
is like
what it was.
It's part of something that can be extracted from kratom, and pretty much that's what I use now. I use small doses pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of like the old heads you'll meet in the city who just like do a little bump of heroin in the morning, except without the risk of overdosing or fentanyl contamination.
Correct. Which is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, at this point in my life, I'm just living the quote unquote American dream. Got a business that I can, for the most part, call my own. I run a coffee shop. I roast all the coffee. I work, 45 hours a week just to keep the place running. But, it oftentimes seems like a lot of people think that that's not enough.
Why do you care what other people think?
Well, no, I'm trying to say, like, there's a lot of people who think the daily grind isn't enough to keep them satisfied. There's this,
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? Is your coffee shop called Daily Grind?
No.
Good,
that would be a good name, though.
I was gonna have to hang up on you if it was. Go ahead. Sorry for cutting you off.
No, it's one of those things like
is that the way you feel? You feel like you're not doing enough?
No, it's the idea that, you go on Twitter, you go on Instagram, you have all these people preaching that the daily grind isn't enough. And I'm here to say it is.
Yeah. Also, they're selling you something. They're trying to make money off of that. Like they're literally trying to sell you something.
Yeah, all the Andrew Tates. And
like they're trying to be like, this is not enough. Buy my fucking course. So I wouldn't subscribe too much to that.
No, and I certainly don't. I'm trying to preach that as long as you're willing to put in the time and the effort, that like you can really, if you're in a small community especially, you can really make a difference in a lot of people's lives, and you can really make a living for yourself by just having a good business model and having a hell-bent drive for success.
Yeah, I like that.
You know?
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. You're a small business owner, doing good. You're not fucking killing yourself, working 80 hours a week. Sounds like you're living life.
Yeah.
And that's a good message, I think, to people out there too, man, is, hey, you are enough. And if there's something like that you want to chase, get it done. For me, it's game development. I love making games and making worlds. But that's the day job. And in the back of my mind, I'm waiting to get out into the mountains and get outside and explore. But yeah, for me, my coffee shop essentially then would be game development, and it's a hard one to chase. But yeah, if someone out there, get after it, man. And if you're on that trail to success, if you're on that chase, you're doing enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
I make a good living. I've got plenty of money in the bank, and I think a lot of people get distracted by the ideals that are pushed on them by the rich. I think that being rich is ultimately a pipe dream for a lot of people, and that there's a lot more to life than being rich, and it really doesn't solve anything. If you've got enough money to take care of all of your own problems, even if you're living like a dirt bag, you can still be doing well.
Yeah. All right, Pants, I got to let you go, but I appreciate you calling in. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Pants, everybody. The new Trent is what the chat's saying. You don't know what that means, Ryan, but I don't think they like them. I don't know what's not. Why do you like Pants? He's just telling you, man. He's got a small business owner in the greatest nation on earth. It's the American dream.
It hit a little close to home there, because I had a very similar situation where a guy I know personally was in my face, like, you need to get your life right with Jesus, and like all this stuff that I was doing wrong. He sold a business and made $400 million, $351 million, I think is what the number was. And so, and I hate to put salt on a wound, but just recently he shot his wife in the face 5 times, and then she survived, thank God. And then he killed himself, and then he killed himself. So that's, that was a guy who was actually in my face telling me I wasn't doing enough.
Yeah.
You need to build a big business like me and get all this money. And it's like, well,
who's laughing now?
I'm glad I didn't turn out like that.
Yeah.
So,
Sean, are you there? Sorry, I picked up a little.
Yeah, Danny, Sean. I'm here.
What's
I'm
up,
here,
Sean?
Danny.
Hey, Sean.
Yes. Yeah, Danny, what's up, buddy?
How you doing?
Danny, I can't describe to you how great I am doing.
Okay. Try
Danny,
to describe it.
All right, buddy. So I am in what I am calling the white trash loaded. I am in Key West, Florida.
Nice. I've always wanted to go there.
Danny, it's fucking phenomenal. So
I hear it's great.
Last night I went to go see Aaron Berg live at the Comedy Key West.
Oh, sick.
Nice.
Oh, Danny, I have never laughed as hard in my entire life.
Aaron's a killer,
And
cold-blooded killer.
Aaron is so killer. He made so many jokes. He made my stomach hurt with the laughter.
That's excellent.
My man. It was amazing. So I just want to tell you, hey, shout out to you. I am sitting in the backyard of the house that I'm at. We're renting a house. We got a little pool. We got a little sit-down area, and I've been calling it the White Trash Lotus.
White Trash Lotus. I like it.
This guy's living the life.
Living the life. This is a different way to live the life, but he's living the life. Well, hell yeah, man.
So Danny, I just want to say shout out to you. I want to say shout out to Aaron Berg, and I want to say shout out to Bobby Tamburo.
Yeah.
What
was
a
he there?
phenomenal show.
Was Bobby there?
I love you guys.
Thanks, Doc.
Bobby was there.
Hell
He made the show, and then Aaron brought it home. They called me a faggot. They said I was going to die of AIDS.
Sounds about
All
right.
the good shit, my man.
Sounds about right.
Hey, shout out to you, Danny. I love you. I'll talk to you next week, baby.
Appreciate
love you.
it,
Bye.
Sean. That was Sean, everybody. He's as they say, on one, I believe. All right. Well, I think that's all the time we got for you. We're gonna keep we're gonna do a little 30 minutes extra of open lines. But thank you very much, Ryan, for joining me today.
Thank you, Danny.
Where can people find you?
Right now, I'm on YouTube, youtube.com/Ryan Zehm, Zehm. So
Okay.
a lot of the stuff we've been talking about goes in more into depth over there. Saint Germaine, Tartaria.
Very cool.
Kind of good stuff,
Very cool.
so.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for joining me. That was really cool. Oh, you opened the latch.
Oh yeah, it's getting hot in here. I got to get the latch open.
Wait, is that real or is that?
Oh yeah, I'm up in the international.
No. I obviously know you're not up there, but are you in like some physical contraption that's within a green screen?
I'm gonna leave that up as a mystery.
Okay. It looked like a green screen to me. No, it's a green screen. I can't tell if that's just like some plastic molding.
But it's also a great question to ask when you're watching those live streams from NASA too. So
there we go.
Is that a green screen? How did they do that? So
once you get to Antarctica, you'll have all sorts of new questions.
Heck yeah. Cool. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you again.
Cheers.
Ryan Zehm, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Okay. All right. We're going to keep the show moving along. Phone lines are open. We're going to do half an hour of open lines. I don't know if we hit the super chat goal, but I've been away for a while, so I feel like I owe it to you guys. And I want to do it. I want to do this. Mark says, what a dork move. To me? By asking? I'm just asking questions. It was a reasonable question. He could have been in some, he could have been in some sort of contraption. All right. Fair enough. All right. Phone lines are open, everybody. 1-888-949-2969. I really want to know, what do you guys think about this Epstein thing? Are you buying Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, two people who would be very unlikely to lie about this? Do you think they lied? Actually, you know what? I'm going to read some super chats because I'm derelict on my super chat reading. I'm going to give away, and again, I'm going to give a super chatter a 6-month Patreon membership. And if you just want a 6-month Patreon membership and you happen to not have an Instagram account for some fucking reason, click the link below. My link that is below in the comments. Sign up for Instagram through that link. They're going to give me $100. I don't know why Instagram would do this, but if you hate Instagram, then let's transfer money from those evil Jews to this not evil Jew. And it's way better. You can support the show. And you never have to use Instagram. You don't even have to use it. You just have to sign up, delete it. I know they'll have your phone number probably or like your email, but they're trustworthy. What would they ever do with your phone number, email? Nothing. Sean from Pittsburgh says, please do more so I can call you JFC. What's JFC? Jesus fucking Christ. C-Dumb says, sorry, I missed why was he out there in the first place. That's my bad. He was trying to get to the North Pole because there's mysteries there. MJ Create says we can do it C Dumps then again says, we need a tank or a ship, dude. There have been so many movies about this shit. I mean, I really wanted to get there. That is a crazy move, going to North Pole by foot. C Dump says, maybe check the temperature. It's too freaking cold for any life. I mean, stuff lives up there. There's penguins. XIIX something 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 X says HH. I don't know what that's a reference to, and I'm not going to look it up. Vincent says, hi, Drew. I don't know if that was to hang up on a certain person. Mark says there's no penguins in the North Pole, Danny. Oh, all right. Well, then color me wrong. Iron Man says, donate, you cheap fucks. Logan says, Kyokin X's 5. No idea what that means. And then Javier Bernal says, opinion. As a frostback, what defines an American? Oh, good question. That's a good question. I would say what defines, because they definitely, I honestly think it is, as crazy as it sounds, it's the free speech element is a big one. The fact that you can just say whatever the fuck you want without the government having to, without having to worry about the government, because many countries do not have that. Even the countries that purport to have that, like the UK or Canada, does not have that. The guns, honestly, the First and Second Amendments, they really nailed. Because the gun one, because I've said this before I moved to America, and before COVID specifically, I was very much like, I'm not a huge fan of guns. And here's the thing. I believe I read a statistic, and I could be wrong on this, but I believe I read that there has not been a mass shooting in America, knock on wood, this year. We're already it's May 19th. So for people who are like, oh yeah, but like all the shootings in America, they haven't even had one this year. So it's really not that bad. Obviously, when they happen, they're terrible. But it's not like, if you go to Canada, you talk to people in Canada, they're like, yeah, there's fucking mass shooting every day. You're like, there's not. There really is not a mass shooting every day. There hasn't even been like a proper one. We're not talking about, because they count, oh, Mark says now that Trump is in office, coincidence? I don't know. There has also been no assassination attempts of presidential candidates this year. Is that right? Yeah, that is right. Look at that. But, the fact that, because I never understood the element of the Second Amendment wasn't for just shooting shit. It wasn't for just, getting some thermite and blowing it up or whatever. The point of it is, when stuff like COVID happens and they're like, we're locking your house, and then 400 million gun owners or whatever the fuck it is, they go, no, you're not. And they go, we're doing this. And they go, no, you're not. So anyways, I don't know if that's a kind of a watered down. I don't know if you guys have better definitions of an American, but that's my take. All right, let's talk to Slav. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see what the hell is going on here. Let's see how drunk this guy is. Slav.
Hey, yo, what's going on?
What's happening?
Hey, you guys are like, it is hilarious how everyone outside of America and like a good majority of retards in America are just incapable of understanding what the Second Amendment is about.
Yeah.
I'm at the point where like,
I'll say I didn't until COVID was really my eye opener on the Second Amendment, especially when you saw what was happening in other countries. Well, I didn't live in America. I never lived in America, and there was never anything. There was no point in my 35 years in Canada where I was like, I wish I had a gun to defend myself against the government. That never came up.
But you guys have blacks in Canada.
Sure.
And gangs in Canada.
And they all have guns. Yeah. The gangs all have guns.
Yeah. Do you not see how, like, gun... well, first off, any form of gun law is an infringement. But it's racist as shit because the only time you see people asking, well, why do you need a gun? They only ask whitey. They never ask a black teenager.
Sure.
It's very racist.
I don't think they have them legally. But, I'll tell you this. Even living in New York City, even though New York City is not really that dangerous, but maybe it's more dangerous than some places. I don't even know if it's more dangerous than Toronto, to be honest. But even still, when I'll see some, like, questionable headphone dodging individuals, in New York City, I'm still never like, I want a gun. I've never in New York City been like, I want a gun.
Well, when's the last time you've been to the Bronx?
I was in the Bronx. Oh, I drove through the Bronx 2 days ago. I was in the Bronx a couple weeks ago, but I only go to the Bronx to go to a Yankees game. And that's it. Like the Bronx, anybody who lives in New York who doesn't live in the Bronx, pretty much you go there for a Yankees game, you walk across the street, hop on the train, and you are out of the fucking Bronx. Like there's not, unless you're like hanging out at one of the bars nearby, which is all very like kind of watered down. But you're not getting the true Bronx experience. But I've never, I don't think I've ever really spent any real time in the Bronx. I think I did a comedy show there once, but it was in this like Italian food hall. Felt more Brooklyn-y, to be honest. But yeah, I don't spend any time in the Bronx.
All right. Yeah, cool. So I gotta be upfront with you, Danny.
Okay.
You know I wouldn't lie to you, but I'm gonna be honest. I did tell you one lie.
Yeah.
And I ain't no Jew, bro.
I mean, I actually. Hey.
Not.
Okay.
I only said that so I can get away with saying what I said for years.
Okay, because I actually heard that you were a Jew from somebody else.
Who?
I can't tell you. I would not be a Jew and just kind of betray a man's confidence. But I actually heard from somebody else that you were a Jew. If you want to play the who's a Jew, not a Jew game.
Was it Kush?
I don't know.
Was it Kush?
No idea. All I'm saying, and you brought this up, let's not forget you brought this up.
Wait.
But I heard from somebody else.
It was Kush.
I don't know who it was. I honestly actually don't know who it.
Wait, you don't know, but you said you did?
No, I actually don't. I don't know the name of who told me. I just know somebody told me.
Was it in Vegas?
Yeah.
Was it?
I was fucking smashed, so I don't have any descriptors.
Oh, was it? It was at the bar?
It was a white male. It was a white male.
It was at the Golden Nugget bar?
I don't remember. It might have been just at the Skankfest venue.
Dark-haired or light-haired?
No idea. You're asking too many questions now. I know you just want to ask questions.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
but anyways, word on the street is you're a Jew. That's all. That's just the word going around.
Well, maybe it's
one drop rule. One drop rule. I don't make the rules.
No, I was just gonna call in about the Chinggis Khan stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, because like I don't even have to get the genetic testing, but you know, proud Neanderthal and you should get tested.
You know what? I read this thing on Twitter. I don't know if this is true.
Because we're Mongolians. You know, Russians
yeah.
have,
I mean, Lev Fur. Go look at. I've said this to Lev, and he hates it when I say this, but I'm Lev looks like.
And it's not even
like Lev. If you actually look at it, you go, "Oh, you're like a little Chinese, huh?" He is because he's Uzbeki, and they're even more kind of mixed with the steppe people. Lev's got a nice chunk of Asian in him.
I mean, but here's the thing. I'm what is it? I'm Dagestani, and my mother's side is Azerbaijani.
Okay, so yeah, that's got a taste of all that stuff.
Yeah. So,
yeah. But anyways,
I
was just gonna say. So I read this thing on. This was someone posted this on Twitter, and it was like a genealogical something about Ashkenazi Jews, how they're mostly Italian, actually.
It's just all mountain people. I mean, if you look at geography, it's just all.
Yeah, here it is. The ancestry and origin of the Ashkenazi Jewish have been subject to heated debate over the last 2 decades. Here we mapped our Ashkenazi Jewish as primarily Italian, 68%, followed by Levantine, 16.6%, Iraqi, Iranian, Caucasian, Turkish, 7.2%, Greek and Balkan, 2.4%, and Eastern European, 1.7%, which honestly, I've always said, like, Italians and Ashkenazi Jews look really similar. So I'm basically Italian.
About that whole family? What about the whole Family Guy joke? Italians are not Jews.
I know that. Because they got the big, like, Italians have the big noses.
Well, yeah, because Italians got raped by those fucking Moors for like 500 years.
Well, maybe they did us too, because I'm just Italian, bro. Fucking love being Italian, bro.
I mean, we're pretty much. I mean, I get this point. It's like mutts, you know. And
I mean,
what is it? Any prospects? What do you think would happen first? They get rid of tax on overtime or income, or Israel gets allowance cut off and they pull out the Samson option?
I mean, Israel sounds like they have an election due in 2026. I just looked at that today. There's an election. I can't see Netanyahu getting reelected at this point. Like, I think his favorability is quite low. Seems like Trump's starting to kind of turn the screws on him to wrap this shit up too. So, they're not going to do something where they're like, what you're saying, like the Samson where they go blow up fucking London or whatever.
I mean, look, I'm just hoping everyone's like, oh, look at Starmer. Everyone's like, oh, look, the far right is really rising in Europe. And I'm like, it's too little too late.
I mean, Keir Starmer is not the far right. I think he's just like, hey, I can throw them a little bone here, which is, again, most fucking people, like what he's doing was labeled as far right. But then you're like, but most people agree on this. Like, it's something to be far right. You'd have to be like a portion of people believe this. When he does something that most people agree on, obviously, like the fucking crazy libs are like, well, that's a far right talking point. You're like, no, most people agree on this. That was like, they said it was fucking like, you know, if you didn't agree with like transgender women playing in women's sports, you're like, oh, that's far right. And you go, no, like literally 90% of people agree on this or more. They just go, oh, well,
I mean, all this kind of stuff is like, I don't know why people say like, oh, why are you getting so political? It's like, I don't think, you know, a dude in a dress being called a dude in a dress, that's not even political. That's just like common sense. Like if a kid can be like, what the fuck is that? It shouldn't be political.
Yeah. I mean, my rule with the transgenders is to be like, look, pass and you don't have a problem. Like, we're not even having a discussion as long as you're passing, as you're not trying.
Oh, so you'd get tricked, Danny.
Oh, yeah. I had fucking tremendous... Man, I've told the story before, but when I was in Thailand and my friend, literally, he was like, man, look how hot that chick is. And I was like, that's a dude. And he's like, no way. And then this is like, Thailand's like so different with their like, whatever political correctness shit. We just went up to
their trannies are also far right.
Yeah, I know, but we went up to them and we were like, yo, are you a man or a woman? And they're like, what do you think? And I was like, I think you're a man. And then my friend was like, I think you're a woman. And I was like, I'm a man. But they were just laughing about it. They weren't like, how dare you? They were just like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's always been in history, where it's just like, yeah, trannies just occupy the space of like, yeah, we serve the sexual deviants.
Yeah, it's JJ's joke. It's surf and turf. It's like, why steak when you can have a bit of lobster too?
Well, I mean, he's a fucking psychopath. So,
good joke, though.
I mean, I know you don't want to talk hockey, but can
we talk about the Jews, please? Have the Jews not done anything in the past couple of weeks?
Look, Danny, if the Gentiles...
Can we talk about the percentage of teams owned by Jews, maybe?
Anyone who is not Jewish existing is already anti-Semitic. That's my last thing to say about the Jews. But if Canadian hockey loses that much against America, y'all have to just annex yourselves, and only the white parts.
I mean, fuck, man. I don't even know what to tell you with these Maple Leafs. They're just not built for the playoffs. It's just, I mean, they didn't fucking concuss our goalie in the first game. Literally, the guy was throwing up in a goddamn bucket because they elbowed him in the head. But that's just playoff hockey. I'm just like, hit him back. That's the thing. The Leafs don't have that killer instinct where they go, yeah, go knock their fucking goalie out of the game. They need like 70s, like Broad Street bully shit where you go, yeah, go concuss their goalie then. That's fair. But the Leafs are just pussies.
I mean, I keep saying, everybody in Alberta, just start flying American flags, take off.
Hey man, they're fucking, dude, their secession movement is picking up real steam.
Dude, I saw they have a whole reform. They need only like 114,000.
Yeah, the premier changed those. She passed a bill. They used to be like you need 25% of all eligible voters or even higher. And she switched it to you only need 10% of all people that voted in the last election, which is like, 100 or 200,000 people. They're going to get those votes. They will absolutely have a referendum on leaving Canada within the next 12 months. Maybe even sooner, to be honest.
Bro, you excited? You excited?
I mean, it doesn't affect me. It's just, it'll be interesting to watch because if they leave, Saskatchewan's going, and then I don't know what happens to Canada. I mean, dude, they did a poll of Albertans asking them, do you want to stay in Canada? So it was kind of like a vague question. Like, it's not like, do you want to join the United States? And I think it was less than 50% said, yes, I 100% want to stay a Canadian. So less than 50%. It wasn't, the other 50% wasn't, I 100% want to leave, but less than 50% of Albertans polled are for sure wanting to be Canadian. So you're like, you can see how this could easily, depending on how things go.
We could treat them like, Puerto Rico or Guam. They're like, hey, you're a territory. Like, basically it's like, hey, you guys are no longer under the rule of commie Canada.
And the king.
But you guys.
The fucking king of England.
Yeah. And then, what's the attitude up in Yukon?
Honestly, like nobody lives up there. It's like there is no Yukon anymore. Well, no, yeah, there's no Wait, did the Northwest? Yeah, the Yukon was renamed Nunavut. It's not Northwest Territories. There's Northwest Territories, or is it Yukon? And this is how bad my fucking I'm embarrassing myself right now. I believe it's still the Northwest. Northwest Territories. There's no Yukon anymore. It's Nunavut now. Oh no, there is Yukon. So what's Nunavut? Nunavut is the eastern part of the north. Yeah. Is the eastern part of Northwest. It used to all be Northwest Territories. Now there's Northwest Territories and the Yukon. There's like nobody who lives up there, but I don't think like those people probably don't think they get great representation in government, although they probably get fucking paid out the ass to remain Canadians. They probably get all sorts of benefits. So,
I mean, it's just a whole bunch of steel clubbing Eskimo igloo.
I've actually known some people from the Yukon, and they're all white people. To be honest, funny enough, it's kind of like Alaska.
Well,
like there are.
I'm saying.
Yeah, none of it's all indigenous for the most part. And a loaf of bread there is famously like $20 because it takes so long to get anything there. But again, if Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia, besides like Vancouver and Victoria Island, like.
No.
Everybody else there probably could be convinced to leave Canada.
We got to connect Montana to Alaska, so the rest of Canada can't like do any interaction with British Columbia, and then they starve them out. So
but the problem is British Columbia has ocean access,
and then all those skinny-eyed people, the Celestials from Peking. They're forced to leave. They're like, well, this land is unsustainable.
I mean, here's the thing: if you want the dope heads to die off in British Columbia and Vancouver, all you got to do is just like let the government do what they keep doing, because that's. Their plan is to keep them alive, but it's just doing the fucking opposite.
Bro, honestly, like how the Germans were burning books, people should just start firebombing all the Narcan factories.
Nah, they're too polite. Even though it's destroyed some areas there, and it's obviously killing people. And
I'll just end off on this.
Yeah.
Since the guest was talking about how the so-called natives here came across the Bering Land Bridge.
Yeah.
That's it. doesn't all of the Americas technically belong to Russia? If people from the Russian landmass came here and are called indigenous, isn't North America and South America and the Caribbean, minus all the blacks?
I mean, you lost me at the Caribbean's Russia.
Well, I mean, those people figured out how to make canoes and sail from island to island.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying with Alaska or whatever, but Alaska fucking sold, or Russia sold Alaska. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but
you made a bad deal, just like the Indians.
Genetics and ethnics and all that. So, I mean, what is it? Russia already claims the North Pole because we had a submarine playing a flag at the North Pole under the sea, and there's like a submerged geological connection to it. And I'm just saying, like, maybe America could step back and let,
potentially.
Maybe...
But I don't think so. I don't think that's the discussion. I think America needs to, or is focused on trying to nail Canada down and just sealing off that whole continent. But anyways, it'll be an interesting few years because Trump has to get it done while he's in office. Because I can assure you, unless a Republican wins, obviously 2028, but if a Democrat wins, then all of that's over. That shit is so over. All right, Slav. Excuse me. Later, man.
Have fun with studying for your citizenship test, whenever that is.
Not for a long time.
And stop supporting multiculturalism.
I love multiculturalism. I love multiculturalism.
Well, I'm going to call ICE on you if you keep saying that.
I love multiculturalism. Later, Slav. All right, let's go to Billy from Philly here. All right, phone lines are closed. I'll get to those who got through. Hello, Billy from Philly.
Danny boy, what's shaking, handsome?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm all righty, Whitey. Oh, are you a Whitey?
I am. I'm Italian, man. I know they weren't. I know they weren't considered white, but I guess I'm another type of non-white white person now. I'm because my heritage is Italian. My heritage is Italian and then Jewish. So neither of them white, but I'm pretty white. Although I got a nice little tan going on right now, but I'm white. I'm white.
Well, join the club. I'm straight honky too. So congratulations.
Happy to be a part of the club. I'm just happy to be here.
Oh. So are we talking about Epstein or black fatigue?
I mean, Epstein. Only because I'm curious what other people think about this whole element.
I think him and, Jean-Luc Brunel, his cohort over in France who killed himself in his jail cell too.
Yeah.
I think that's way too much a coincidence that these two dudes opt themselves in a jail cell, like eerily similar circumstances.
Yeah.
I don't buy it.
Yeah, it is interesting though, because Trump, when he was running, he was asked about it, and he goes, "Yeah, it's not." I think he killed himself because if you're living such a high life and then you're in a prison cell, I guess Trump, speaking from experience of being a fucking rich dude, he goes, "Yeah, it's kind of how you wind up is you just go, this sucks. Just gonna kill myself." My whole thing is just the fact that Dan Bongino and Kash Patel are being like. I just don't know their incentive to lie, unless of course they are playing some sort of like long con here or something, and they're trying to get the perpetrators a little too comfortable, being like, well, they're not on us or something. And then I don't know, but for Dan Bongino to be like, yeah, I looked at all the files and he killed himself.
I think when they get into office like that high up, there's kind of like an NDA, but instead of getting sued, they get told they're going to get a bullet put in them or a helicopter crash.
I mean, if that's the case, and I said this too, I go, if that's the case where, these guys in suits come and they go, this is the story, this is what we're going with, then how are you supposed to, if that's what you think is the case, then you can't fucking believe anything ever again about anything.
I kind of don't. I think most of our history books are lies we learned in school.
Sure.
It's like, what?
Fair enough. I
don't believe anything that comes out of the government. COVID, Epstein, pot's bad for you, GMO foods are good, glyphosate good. Anything they say, I just do the opposite. Doctors too now anymore. That's not good for me. I'm going to take twice as much.
Sure. I mean, that's the thing. That's certainly a possibility where they're just, you get in the government and you're just kind of compromised now. That was like the famous Bill Hicks joke where he's like, when they elect a new president, they bring you into a room and they show you a photo of the JFK assassination from a different angle nobody's ever seen again. And they just go, any questions? And you go, no, just what my agenda is.
Yeah. Whatever you say goes.
Yeah, kind of. So that might be the case. I guess it's possible. Dan Bongino just seems so hard to believe that he's like the fucking guy who was streaming on Rumble and now he's just like, yes, sir. That's the story, sir.
Yeah, he's showing for Israel for years though.
Yeah,
he was
that's
always
true.
on their side.
Yeah,
it's like,
I mean, that would be.
I don't.
That still seems hard for me to believe that he just was like, oh, Israel was behind it all. I guess I'll just fucking say nothing happened here. But I suppose it's possible. I'm open. I'm open-minded.
That's what I like about you. I've met a lot of Hebraites that are very like, they're always the victim. There's a couple guys that they tell me, anti-Semitism is up. Like, I'm like, what do you, okay, I guess.
I mean, to their defense, it is up in my Twitter comments. It's up 6 million% in my Twitter comments.
6 million, huh?
Not 1% more, not 1% less.
Oh, that's funny. All right, Danny, I'm going to let you go. Get some
Cool,
more
buddy.
callers in there. I love you, dude.
Later, buddy.
Later.
Billy from Philly. You heard it here first. All right. Let's take a couple more calls. Thank you for joining me, everybody. You are the best. I'm going to give away a patreon.com membership. We got to spin the wheel. Taylor, are you there?
Yes.
What's happening, Taylor?
So if you've already said this or brought this up and I missed it, then I'm going to sound real stupid.
Don't worry about it.
My question is,
what the hell?
Conspiracy or coincidence? James Comey, the former director of the FBI, posted this C-cell picture that says 8647 on May 15th, 2025, which is exactly 8,647 days after 9/11.
Dude, I did Fox News on Saturday night on Jimmy Fallon's show.
Okay, I think I saw a clip of it or something, but yeah.
So I was in the green room and we were talking about that and I brought that up and everybody looked at me like I was fucking nuts. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's 8,647 days since 9/11. And they were like, what? I'm like, look. And I like Googled it or I like searched on Google, how many days has it been since 9/11? And it was like 8,647. And they were just like, what the fuck? I don't know. I can't again, that one kind of.
Is there such a thing as a coincidence with a former director of the FBI?
Do you think that he was like, you know what? I'm going to wait until it's 8,640. Do you think he had that in his calendar? Post this.
That's what I'm asking. Is he regardless of whether it meant anything, did he know about it enough to be like, I'm going to fuck with some 9/11 truthers?
I would have to think so, or that's his way out of this. Not that again, he's Trump does have a fucking hard on for him, and he's really playing with fire if he thinks I'm this untouchable dude because I used to be the head of the FBI, because Trump wants to literally destroy this man.
Are you?
But
saying
at least
his out is somebody puts this number here every day. They increase it by 1 because it's the number of days.
Yeah, he was just I don't know. I don't know if that gives him some sort of legal plausible deniability. No. He doesn't. He didn't post 86
days from now, and it says 1857.
No, I mean, that's the thing.
Spot.
He didn't post 86. He definitely did not post 8646. And 8645. It's not like one of those Twitter accounts that says fuck
right
and a new thing every day. So no, but again, he's not gonna get in trouble. I think what was it? One of the Krasenstein brothers posted it, and they had him fucking knock on the door from the Secret Service.
I saw the didn't Gretchen Whitmer or whatever get investigated because she had like 8645 in the background of something way back?
Yeah, she had it, but I mean, Jack Posobiec was posting 8646. Like, first off, I don't think 86 means kill.
Well, like, she didn't
I
get
think
in
it means
trouble
like
either. I'm just saying she got investigated. Like,
yeah,
I don't think Comey's going to get anything more than just they're going to fuck with it.
Yeah, they're just gonna be like, you gotta knock on the door from the Secret Service. They go, "What's this about?" And then, I guess I don't know.
So
but
you think he knew that it was that many days from the? You think that was like in the back?
I don't think so. Fuck, man. This one's a hard one. Like, my gut says like he's probably such like because he's like an elite fucking political guy. That guy runs in like circles with Hillary Clinton. My guess is, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Like, that seems just like the craziest coincidence in the world. Also, who figured that out? Like, who was like?
I was listening to No Agenda. That's when they said it on there, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, I saw it going around Twitter. I was just like, "Who the hell figured that out?" But I googled it and it said 86. Someone said they checked and it said 81. The date from 9/11 to last Friday, so May 16th, 9/11 to May 16th.
I thought it was May 15th was the date that
or maybe May 15th. You're right, May 15th. Yeah.
Because the closest article I could find was written the day after about it, and they were all 4 days ago. So
I saw it that day. I saw it going around, or maybe I saw it the day after. I'm not sure, but either way, I was like, it's crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I can't. That has to be a coincidence. Like, I just can't see James Comey being like,
I don't know.
Like, I'm gonna fucking kill two birds with one stone right now, and he's just been waiting. Like, he has his day just circled in his calendar.
Shit, I had no clue.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe.
The only thing I can think of is he thought of maybe no. I'm convinced that he doesn't know about. I think it was a coincidence, but
I think it's just like a crazy coincidence. But who knows?
Anyways, that's all I got.
All right.
Besides that, I feel like Dan Bongino looked like he had a gun to the back of his head. So.
Yeah, and Kash Patel.
Kash Patel didn't look like it as much, but Dan Bongino, something about his eyes. He just looked like he was staring at somebody behind that reporter he was talking to.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so intense.
I've seen I've seen the tape. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Later.
Seen the file.
Later. All right. I'm gonna give away Patreon.com membership, and I have some memberships for some free members that I'll be giving away tomorrow. The winner is Sean from Pittsburgh. Everybody, congrats, Sean from Pittsburgh. Hit me up. I will get you your Patreon. I believe he's a Patreon. So just hit me up. I'll extend your Patreon membership. All right, let's take the last call of the night. All right, last call of the night, and we got. I don't know who we got. Hello. Last call of the night. Who are we speaking with? Hello? 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 Sean? Sean, are you there? This is bad radio / streaming / TV. Oh, hold on. I got to unmute him again. He unmuted himself. Hello. This is not great. Oh, he's wasted. Oh, Mark tells me he's wasted. Sean, I picked up, man. What the friggin' heck? Oh, he hung up. He's too fucked up for a phone call on a Monday night. All right. Well, that's been the show. That has been the show. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me. I appreciate you all very much. We'll be back. Sorry, no bathhouse tomorrow, as explained at the beginning. We'll be back next week, though, with the bathhouse, with low value mail, all of the stuff. And I don't have a crazy schedule coming up, so expect a regular schedule for the most part. Catch me in Calgary, June 5th to 7th. Tickets at dannycomedy.com. And go sign up for Instagram, please, and get a 6-month Patreon.com membership. All you got to do is just sign up for Instagram. I don't have time to take 2 calls. People are calling now. Show's over. You missed your chance. I'm sorry, everybody. It's 12:05, and I got to piss like crazy. Sign up for Instagram using my link in the comments below. Give me a follow. And, they're both in Key West? Oh, he's in Key West. I don't know what's going on. It's Sean, Andrew are both calling. I got to piss, unfortunately. But sign up for Instagram. DM me. I'll give you a 6-month patreon.com membership. That has been the show. Sorry for the little snafu at the beginning. They didn't like that Epstein talk over at Streamlabs. More like Jew Labs. All right, I'm delirious now. All right, good night, everybody. Shout out to Mark, our lovely producer. Couldn't do this without him. Shout out to you all. Oh, look, my finger's disappearing. All right, I've had enough. Good night, everybody. See you all very soon. Peace.
I'm really a poet, you know it, all my shit heroic. Empathic abilities, yeah, my face be also stoic. Bleep, blow up, nigga, that just means I'm working. They see me as a leader, so that's why I'm Captain Kirkin. These tracks from the stars, that much is for certain. You can feel this hit if you up or if you hurt. I'm raising my stock, not talking my feet in some Birkin. Number Johnny 5, got a fucking short circuit. Bring the track to life when I spit phenomenally. When I hit, she feel that shit in her abdominals. These rappers make me laugh like comic view, they comically. You know I got a ball out, I hit the track running just like Sonic do. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, now we pulling up fresh on some flight shit. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, then they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, now we pulling up fresh on some flight shit.